there's a green one.
Yeah.
There's a green one. And,
Gobi.
that's
Is it
James
Gobi?
Marsters.
Gobi.
Yeah, he's like the Goblin
That makes
King.
me
And
sad.
that's why Gobi
That's
is
just-
the
that's
greatest
Billy.
character.
Yeah, but
Sometimes.
honestly, once it was explained to me, then okay. Now that you say it that way, I totally get Dragon Ball Z. I mean,
Yeah.
I mean, it was hard to figure out before, but now I got to go back and watch those episodes.
I gotta admit, as much as I really didn't want to do this anime episode, I'm really glad we took all this time talking about
Yeah,
it.
no, that
No,
was
but-
good. Because see, okay, now when you watch Cowboy Bebop, you'll love it, and,
Yeah.
and also, when we get to Avatar: The Last Airbender.
But I think there's one that
Oh, that's
we
total
we forgot
poser
to talk-
westerner.
You guys have all seen Takugen? That's
Oh,
what it's
yeah.
called, right?
Yeah.
no,
Who
I've
hasn't?
heard of that. I mean,
Yeah.
I haven't really watched any of his stuff, but
It was,
Well, I kind of grew up watching that stuff.
Yeah, with
Yeah.
Kojimi was the main animator on that.
Is it Kojimi?
I think the
No, it was hard to avoid because back in the 80s, I mean that was when they first started bringing up some of the anime into America, and obviously it was American companies doing it. So
Yeah.
you got Star Blazers instead of Battleship Yamato, and
Yeah.
you got Robotech instead of
well, see,
Macross,
Bo, that's when
but-
you saw that second generation.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Because
No,
I-
it's
I-
like Battle
I-
of the Planets versus Gatchaman.
Right, and that was like when they kind of did a remake of it. Because I remember from the '60s when I was watching Marine Boy and Speed Racer. That's when that kind of stuff first came up. 'Cause
Really?
It was influenced by like the early animes, like the Fleischer Brothers, kind of like a Fleischer Brothers meets the Japanese watercolor painting.
Yeah, I can see
right.
that. I can see that. I've got the volume 6 that I ordered off of I can't remember the URL. It should be coming in pretty soon, but there are no subs.
Yeah.
Which I mean, of course, as a purist, I guess you can appreciate
What
that.
else
Yeah.
back in the dark ages of anime when it wasn't as readily available as it is now? You had to like get in clubs with guys who would like have
Right,
only
yeah.
the dub stuff.
Okay, so from Takugen,
It
who's
was
your
like,
who's
it was like
who's your
being
favorite-
into alternative music in the 80s.
Yeah.
I mean, you couldn't just go to like a Tower Records and get a Rape Man CDs.
True.
Well, I just think
you
that
had to know
yeah.
people that you could trade cassettes, and you would give them cassettes.
who's your
Buddy,
favorite
buddy.
Takugen
Yeah.
villain?
We got to finish out this 0.5 episode.
Well,
that we're
I
doing
think
here,
that's-
but-
That's true. That,
I would say Shabiro.
Shabiro.
Man,
Oh God.
I just think that
You
the
would.
Shut the
action
fuck up,
sequences
Grant.
were well, and the action sequences were so ahead
Hey
of their
man,
time.
there was
I
some,
mean,
there was
I
some
think
good Shabiro.
He had a
Matrix really was able to use the action sequences from this.
Yeah, well, no, that really influenced all the Marvel stuff that you see in the 90s.
Yeah.
Well, there would be no Ninja Scroll, that's for sure, without it either.
That's true.
But yeah, no, that you're. I don't know if that's my favorite villain. I'm more of a Akuda fan. Am I
Yeah.
saying that right?
No, well, yeah, Akuda.
And
Okay.
that's good enough for a guy.
Good for Gaijin.
but
Stupid round eye.
but he just reminds me of the Rhino from Spider-Man. It's just kind of like, yeah, okay, you're kind of a one-trick guy.
Guys.
But I would recommend, even though, like I said, we don't know a lot about anime, and I'm glad we were able to do this episode for the
Yeah,
I
fans.
know. Finally, people like Jalfred can get off our backs. now.
Exactly. We finally recorded a whole episode just about this. But you know what? That is one of those ones that you guys really need to seek out and find. I think you can probably find it on DVD now. I'm not sure. You might have to look for a while online if you're.
Yeah, you kind of
but-
have to do like a blanket Google search and not just Amazon itself.
Yeah, no, very true.
All
But,
right, well-
anyway, I guess that's it for that 0.5 episode.
Yeah,
yeah.
good.
So
Whew.
let's.
It's a long one.
I know. Who knew we would go on for that long about that? I can't believe I put this off for that long because this was really fun.
Yeah, it was. It was better than we thought, but now we got it out of the way. We can move on to something we like better.
Yeah, exactly. For the next episode.
And we
but,
can never talk about this again.
but for this 0.5, let's just end this 0.5 and
Yeah.
say the traditional ending.
Long live the league!
Okay, guys, we got that one out of the way. You want to just go ahead and record the next one?
Yeah,
Yeah,
let's
let's
keep going.
Yeah,
Let's just do the
Keep it
full
going. Keep it
animation.
rolling.
episode.
Okay, now we talk about American animation.
I'm not
Yeah.
nearly drunk enough to stop.
Okay, well, let's go ahead and just do the intro here. Okay, if everybody's ready, I'm going to go with the intro. Hey guys, welcome to Leog.
Man, so we got the NPR opening and we got the Barnum and Bailey opening.
No. He was actually
poor
kind
son
of
of a
reserved in this one. He
Yeah.
sounded pretty normal. He wasn't. Welcome to bloody blood.
You forgot about the Muppet Show opening.
Yeah.
Oh
that's true.
Yeah, that's true.
I'm Isaiah Shefford, and this is our theme song, Wind in the Meadows.
You could always go with more of a Elvira
You know,
or a
I
horror
take
TV
that back.
show.
Your
I
tits
said
are almost
Barnum
as big
Bailey.
as Elvira's.
It's more of a Rod Roddy. Welcome to Leah. Come on down. Dun, 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 dun.
Saturday, and also Sunday.
Oh man, we need.
You gotta do the Dick Vitale NBA. Hey, welcome to Leog, baby. Serendipity.
No. We need to get some Don Cornelius in here.
Yeah, I don't know if I can do that.
Welcome to the mighty, mighty Leah.
Welcome to the Leog. You've been listening, and now here's the time for the hits. But first, we have a letter from one of our fans who asks...
It's like Rod Serling apparently went to 70s AM disco.
This would have been
for Casey Kasem, but okay.
would have been the perfect opportunity for Greg to lay down some hot licks, and yet he's out doing other much more cool things.
So we are, as usual, as Leog members, lickless.
Yes, we are.
Lickless.
Him and his band are out playing for a bunch of young, hot college chicks.
And
That
good
bastard.
God, if you live anywhere in the Austin area, go see Soul Track Mind.
Aren't they good?
They are really
Quite.
good.
I mean,
That
they really
band-
put on a show.
Greg's great. That lead singer is incredible.
is.
He's got so
Donovan.
much energy.
Yeah, he's
insane.
amazing.
I mean,
Yeah.
I always, compared him to Simply Red. I mean, probably because that guy has red hair. He looks like Jason Bateman.
Yeah, he looks like
Yeah.
Jason Bateman and Nathan Fillion had a child. So, ladies of the science fiction fan.
Oh, and there are ladies at the show. Good God.
Oh man, you guys didn't go to the show at the
Hippie
at the university
ladies,
co-op.
but ladies
No,
nonetheless.
at the co-op they weren't hippies, but
They're
they were
hippiesters.
But they were all like these super young college kids.
Exactly.
So Corey and I are there, and like
Oh, shit.
How long was it before Corey mysteriously disappeared?
I know how
They're
this story
yours
ends.
honestly, I held on to him the whole time. But it was like you'd look out of your periphery and you'd see a bunch of hot chicks, but then when you really looked at them, they all looked like they were 12 years old. And I was like, man, I just feel weird.
Except
being
had really hairy legs.
No, they honestly at the co-op they weren't the hippie chicks that show up.
yeah,
at the Soul
I don't
Track
think
Mind
those
shows.
have been at the co-op since like 1979.
Yeah, I was gonna say. Now, the older I get, though, it's true. The younger the girls look.
It's
Where
like-
you're like, wow, she's actually legal, but I could have sworn she was 12.
Yeah,
So,
I mean, you always think like, oh, they can never be too young, but like, yeah, they can, and it's like, this doesn't. I'm not even enjoying this.
I'm gonna go ahead and do this because you know my favorite.
You sound like a disillusioned pedophile. I'm just, my heart's not even in it anymore.
You know my favorite joke of all time. I'm not. It's a Shaggy Dog joke, so I'm not going to tell the whole thing. The idea is you tell it first person, like I did this and I did that, about finding a talking frog that you put in your pocket and take with you, and you end up going to Vegas and you do the whole thing. The frog wins a lot of money for you, and then I'll just do the end of the joke. And then I asked the frog, "What are we going to do next?" He said, "Take me up to the room." So I took the frog in my pocket and I went up to my room and I said, "What do we do now?" And the frog said, "Kiss me." I said, "I can't kiss you. This is ridiculous." Frog said, "Kiss me." I said, "Well, I did just win $1 million." So I kissed the frog, and there was a huge puff of smoke and a strange smell, and the clouds lifted, and there was the most beautiful, naked 16-year-old girl I'd ever seen. And that, Your Honor, is how I ended up in a hotel room that night. It's funnier if you go on and on and on, and then
So you're going to edit that out, right?
No. It's really good edited, just like you did it.
Okay, fair enough. That's how I tell that joke these days. Like,
Good.
guys, I don't have all day to tell jokes anymore. So
Because you
here's the fast
you got tired
version.
of losing half the audience before you got to the punchline.
Exactly. Yeah, you guys aren't strapped in like my usual audience.
I'm sorry, so you had a frog or something?
Something about a frog.
Yeah,
Did you
whatever.
tune out
I
completely?
totally just started hearing
Yeah,
static.
it's not for
And-
Jason. If it's not a what does da 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 da, it's a da 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 da. It's
Yeah.
like forget it.
Yeah, I just
knock
heard
knock.
Charlie Brown's teacher going on and on.
Well, hey, let's sound off.
Yes, I am Cyrus.
Grant.
Kristen.
Bo.
Allison.
Leon,
Jason.
And fish.
And
Wow.
I love that. Like Fish has like truly like owned it.
you
Yeah,
have. You've
carry
made
it.
it your own.
Yes.
I mean, right, I'm
Just in time for you to leave.
I know it's too bad because I'm like so ready to like mutate his name Fish to Aqualad.
No, you know what?
Wouldn't Aqualad be perfect?
He has so grabbed it, made it his own. I almost feel like it's offensive for us to say fish at this point. Like he's the
Shut
only
up.
one who can say it.
I'm just getting creeped out by Leon imagining Jason wearing red and blue tights. It's a little gross.
Aqualad didn't wear tights; he wore short shorts.
Oh, I'm sorry. That's better.
Daisy Dukes.
He wore cyan.
He wore short shorts and he had a huge bottle of Nair.
Yeah, he
I
wore
think I found a new
cyan
reason to
Daisy Dukes.
leave.
Did we bring the Red Robin costume for fish, by the way? Okay, anyway.
You hear
that's
that?
for the next
Leon
I'm
wants
wearing
to
it right
fuck you.
now.
Hey, Jason,
That is not true.
that is not true at all.
Yes, you're totally safe.
I've only had one whiskey at this point.
He calls it making love.
No, that's not.
Put on the Marvin Gaye and lower the lights.
Let's play a game I like to call Prison.
Let's play a game I like to call. Let's talk about animation.
All right, okay.
You know what?
Oh, come on. I still had more jokes about sodomizing fish.
Yeah, but I just tuned out after
Okay.
a while.
Well, we can talk about that and animation. It's no different than any other show.
And I'm pretty sure you're going to work it in throughout the rest of this podcast.
Yeah, he'll be working it in all right.
It's funny because it was sodomy.
Wow. Welcome to the Christmas episode.
Those are your orifices.
Someone get the Costco-sized bottle of KY.
I'm sorry, I don't know.
Man, you just laid a turd in the middle of the room.
Oh, man, come on. We're talking about a tight
I
sodomy.
just love it like you told that joke and nobody wanted to
I
own
know,
any piece of it.
Wait, look. There's a tumbleweed going through the living room.
I'm so confused about what that cutoff point is. I just don't know.
And now you flirt.
I was going to do a gag reflex joke, so you're lucky I went with a KY instead.
I was like, what's with the delusions of grandeur? Costco size?
Well, we were
really?
talking about Jason sodomizing fish, so...
More like a sample pack.
A thimbleful.
This won't take. Just get the goddamn Crisco.
More like a Brokeback spit on your hand thing.
Wow. Voice of,
See,
the
yeah,
voice
yeah.
of camping experience
How come that's
comes
funny
out.
and the KY gallon size isn't? I'm totally...
Gay Cowboys is inherently
Weren't we
hilarious.
supposed to talk about cartoons?
Yeah, all right. let's
I
go
was
to
just
cartoons.
picturing Jason in a movie theater watching Brokeback Mountain. That did it for me.
Again, cartoons.
Yeah, I don't think there's an animated series of Brokeback Mountain on the way anytime
I
soon.
hope
In
not.
Japan, there is.
There probably is. Yeah. But
Yes,
we
you're an
already-
animator, aren't you?
Yes, I am.
All right.
There you have it.
Baby, we have got a market. We're moving to Japan.
Wow, I had no idea there was so much interesting cowboy sodomy. Perhaps we can work pudding into there somewhere.
Big in Japan. No
All
pun
right,
intended.
but let's talk about actual cartoons that really exist. Let's just start off with like where we all got started. What was the thing that you really guys remember as like your first big cartoon?
The
that
Bugs
you
Bunny
loved?
Roadrunner Hour, Saturday mornings.
Oh, my. Overture, the
Saturday
lights.
nights, this is it. We'll hit the heights, and
Oh,
oh,
what heights we'll hit. On with the show, this is it.
My brother.
There we go. From another mother.
That was pretty formative for those of us from that age. Niche.
Yeah, I mean, it was that, you know what? It was one of those shows that, like, they never canceled it. They might move the time slot, but
Yeah.
it was always there.
It was like their little anchor for whatever new cartoons that would come out that day. And that was always an exciting thing. That's also one of the you know, my big comic book memories is in comic books they used to show the previews of what was going to come out for the new Saturday morning cartoon lineups. So, you know, I definitely, you know, have that layout going and, you know, make up my schedule for when I was going to wake up and really annoy my dad.
Okay, let me take you guys all the way back.
Are we getting to the way back?
Yeah.
We
Yeah,
should do
we're
this
gonna-
chronologically amongst us,
Come
like
on.
the oldest cartoons, and then we'll work our way.
Well,
forward.
that's why we're
I'm saying.
starting with Liam.
Yeah, I mean,
Leon's going to take
To
us back
Pokemon
to
for fish.
Crusade
times.
era
Yeah,
tapestries.
Leon's going to take us back to like Windsor
You remember back
McKay and the
when-
dinosaur cartoon.
exactly. Yeah, Winsor McKay's dinosaur.
Back in 1927 when I went to my
it's-
first Nickelodeon.
It's Gertie.
It's the Yellow Kid.
Well, not going back quite that far.
Oh, the zoetrope. No
No,
one
there were
knows
these,
what
these
that
great
is.
cave drawings. that
Look,
were in
Leon, it's a
sequential order.
magic lantern.
But taking you guys back, do you remember not when Bugs Bunny came on, but it would be that Friday night, right before the new season of cartoons, when they would show you every station would show you, okay, here's a preview of the cartoons we have coming to you in 2 weeks.
Oh yeah.
And you were glued to that
No.
TV to watch that and just pray your dad wasn't gonna like get drunk and yell at you and change the channel over to watch the Rockford Files.
Please
while
don't
you
let
were,
a football
like,
game be on.
dying to
Please don't
watch
let a
this.
football game be
Okay,
on.
maybe that was just me on that part. But the Friday night when they would like give you the preview of what was coming up and you'd be so excited, and then you get the TV guide or whatever TV guide you use, and you make a schedule of like, okay, at 6:30 I'm gonna watch Super Friends, and then it's gonna be the Roman holidays, and then over to the Archie cartoons with the
Okay,
Shazam hour, and
you
then
were
Fat
a
Albert
little
at the end.
earlier than me, so
And then the Partridge Family Adventure Hour.
and the Croft Super Show.
Yeah.
yeah, I like that. Electroman and Dyna Girl.
Like, yeah, well,
First
yeah.
Crush.
Robin and
Yeah,
Dr.
Dr.
Shrinker.
Shrinker and Wonderbug.
Yeah.
Wonderbug. Yeah.
And
Well,
Captain Cool and the Cons.
Was it Space Nuts? The one that was Gilligan's Island in
that
space?
that was
exactly?
that wasn't part of the Croft Super
Oh,
Show.
wasn't it? Okay, I
It was
thought
it was a Croft show, but it wasn't part of the.
Okay.
Is that Gilligan's Planet?
Well, they had Gilligan's Planet too,
But they also
there
had
was-
the Far Out Space Nuts.
Yeah, but
Like,
that's not cartoon, so
Yeah,
it was live
What
action.
year was this?
The far-flung year
1984.
So like the one Leog listener who's that old.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's
Ghost
like-
Rider.
it's
You know
clapping.
exactly what we were
Yeah,
talking
Ghost
about.
Rider will come on and go, I'm so happy you guys talked about this.
You
There's
know,
actually-
Space Academy and Jason of Star Command.
If you get the like big coffee table size Alex Ross book of Alex Ross art, there's one like kind of center spread that has all of these like heroes that everybody is like, who the fuck are they? And they're all from those old Saturday morning cartoons, like the Herculoids.
Oh,
and,
God, the
yeah,
Herculoids.
Herculoids, that the blobs.
you know the
Yeah.
Herculoids,
That
the
was so
Space
cool.
Patrol, and you know
Yeah.
all these guys, and yeah, it's just like if you grew up at that certain time, you can look at that picture and go like, oh my god, it's an Alex Ross picture of all these guys, and everybody else that got the book is
Yeah.
just like, who the fuck is this?
All these people who
Those are
have
the
been
ones-
on Space Coast or Harvey Birdman.
Harvey Birdman.
Yeah, I
That's
was,
how you
I was
see
just
him
gonna
all.
say, Grant, like to make it relevant to you.
Yeah.
C Lab 2021 was based on the show C Lab 2020 that we used to watch during this
Yeah.
time.
which was horrible.
That
Oh,
wasn't
so
a
bad.
comedy.
Yeah, it wasn't
Yeah.
funny at all.
Sad as that may be. It's funny watching some of these shows. Some of them are still kind of entertaining. The writing's not totally awful, but the animation is so bad.
Actually, I still love Space Ghost, and Space Ghost, even though the actual animation was bad, the original artwork that inspired it was done by Alex Toth, who's
Sure.
one of the best comic book artists out there, around, and I love his stuff. So I always have a soft spot for
I mean,
him.
And he designed and did all the model sheets for almost everybody from Hanna-Barbera with their
Yeah.
action cartoons. So Super Friends, C Lab,
I mean,
Birdman.
Herculoids, Birdman.
as I've tried to point out a number of times, when you're young, you're just not all that discerning. And I admit, I liked a lot of stuff that I cannot sit through now.
Yeah.
And I'm not going to go, oh, I was crazy or dumb. No, I was just a kid. I liked what I liked then. I didn't have that much to put it up against. And I loved Scooby-Doo.
yeah.
loved Scooby-Doo.
I'm so shocked because I was a kid. I watched it all the time. I never really liked it, but my dad used to do this really funny Scooby-Doo impression. So I would watch it just thinking about him.
Well, you
He
know
would
what's
get
funny?
really high in the back of the van.
Well,
with
yeah, he
some
was usually
hippie.
drunk when he did it.
I'm such a skeptic now. And there it is. It was always the old man who ran the haunted amusement park. Was it ever in the original show? Was
No,
it
it-
ever
yeah.
actually a
No,
ghost?
it never
No.
was.
No, it was always a
It-
scam by someone.
I think I was as annoyed by that back then as I was about Smallville recently, and then Heroes.
Why are you watching Smallville, you fucking moron?
Hey, when I used to watch
jeez.
Smallville, it was the same episode every time, just like Heroes. It's the same bullshit every time. And I think as a kid, I was also annoyed by Scooby Doo. I'm like, oh yeah, was it this guy or this guy that I saw in the beginning that's going to be the person? So
I think
I got a
it
lot
made
burned
me
out.
feel better because as a kid, I'm kind of scared, like a lot of kids are, by the thought of ghosts or monsters. And Scooby Doo made me feel better.
The big
I
thing
love
that-
Shaggy and
The big
Scooby.
thing on Scooby Doo that always pissed me off is that whenever there was a trap door, I don't know why, but there's something in animation where you could always tell where the trap door was.
It's because that's animated and it's
Yeah.
on a cell and the background isn't, so you could always see the cell. It
Yeah,
would be a
the lighting
brighter
was always
color,
different
yeah.
on the trap door than the
That's-
background.
Yeah.
That's
you
ridiculous.
knew
It
when he
robbed
was
all
gonna
the
move.
surprise. And
all the surprises.
I tell you
generally in a Scooby Doo episode.
One thing I learned from Scooby Doo was a plot device that's used over and over, even now, is that whenever somebody sets up a plan, if they explain the plan to you, it won't work. But if they go off to the side, like, well, here's the plan,
You're
it
fucked.
probably will work.
Yeah.
And plus, it's always good to bring up a 60s pop band with you because at some point they're going to come in handy.
I
or
learned
the Harlem
that-
Globetrotters.
Or the Harlem
I
Globetrotters.
learned
Angela
that if you are in a
Lansbury.
horror movie and you follow the lesbian, you will live.
You know, there's actually, is this true? I keep seeing this picture lately on the net where there was a Scooby-Doo with Doctor Who in it. And I was like, did that actually happen? Because,
no.
but because everybody crossed over into him. Like,
Yeah.
really weird you
the
would
Three
go.
Stooges,
"That
Phyllis
really
Diller?
happened."
Not-
Phyllis Diller. Thank
It
you very
was
much.
not everybody. It was Catskill comedians
Yeah.
who had done vaudeville.
Yeah, it
before
was
that.
like Jimmy Durante showing up on a Saturday morning cartoon in the 70s. I mean, was there any kid who knew who the fuck Jimmy Durante was?
Right.
other than the reference
Other
from
than Bo?
Warner Brothers cartoons going,
Right.
"Ah-cha-cha-cha-cha."
Well, I'm just
Yeah.
saying I wouldn't have been surprised if they actually had crossed it over to that to try and bring it to England or something. Because Doctor Who, you go, no. But in England, Doctor Who was 100 times bigger than Star Trek was here at that time. It was huge.
Poor England.
I'm just saying. I'm just saying it would make sense if they had tried to port it over there and do that.
I'd like to let it be known that I still to this day have an unhealthy fixation on Daphne.
Daphne, really?
Yeah.
Oh,
Really?
no,
Because
no.
I think that Velma.
the hot
I know,
redhead.
it's
Yeah,
totally
honestly,
right.
I can't argue with
I
Velma.
I did too, up until the Scooby-Doo movies, and then I switched over to Velma.
Well, that's because you had what's her name
'Cause
from
Linda
Freaks and
Cardinelli.
Geeks, who is like so hot that she,
She's
so
she was hot, and she
so
did
hot,
less
she-
lesbian, and it was like,
so hot. I don't
right
even know
on.
what happened.
If
in
she
the
was
rest
the
of that
president,
film.
she'd be Abraham Lincoln.
Yeah, she's not the haggard wretch Sarah Michelle Gellar was.
I think that's a good question for all the Leog members. What's the hottest animated cartoon character?
I think we've done that before.
Dr.
Really?
Girlfriend.
Just-
Oh yeah,
Jessica
you weren't
Rabbit.
you weren't there for that. It got
Yeah.
ugly.
Yeah, Dr.
Yeah.
Girlfriend.
Ugly.
I'm a Jessica Rabbit guy myself.
It got ugly.
Well,
I like
I went to
Baroness, I believe.
I went to a dark place.
yeah.
But
yeah.
but it's not Jessica Rabbit because she's not bad. She's just drawn that
She's
way.
just drawn that way, that's
Dr.
true.
Girlfriend is that bad.
Yeah, Dr. Girlfriend is that bad, and we'll let you do horrible things to her.
Yeah, well,
Oh,
sometimes I like the sweet girl because then you can corrupt them, and that's more fun.
Oh, Jessica Rabbit's not sweet.
she's kind of
She's a total vamp. She totally uses everything she's got.
She wasn't even
And
wearing
she-
any
and-
underwear.
And she'll flirt with every other
That's
guy.
okay,
True.
but to be fair, by the end, it turned out everything she was doing was to help her husband. If you remember,
I guess.
it went against
Just
the film
like
noir
Jezebel
tradition.
in the Bible. It's true.
Are we going to talk about Davy and Goliath now?
No, we're not.
Davy, look at those sluts. They're laughing at you.
They need to die, Davy.
Oh, that one, yeah, that's
I don't want to
fun.
kill them again. Said they need to die.
All right, well, we've talked enough about us old people. What about you slightly
Yeah, you
younger
youngsters.
folk?
Like-
yeah,
Yeah,
tell us about the
youngsters.
stuff that
Where do you
you're-
guys cut off the line with the youngsters?
Well, Grant and Fish.
Let's just go
basically.
clockwise. Start with Grant and go like, you know what?
all right.
What was the early influential
What
stuff
are the
for you?
girls of ladies of an uncertain
so we
age?
can-
What are you
Well,
talking
no,
So we
I-
can
I
laugh
don't-
at you
I,
for it.
I didn't hear them, and they're both older than
Grant,
me.
talk, please.
Okay, fine.
Yes.
I'm saying the opposite of shut the fuck up. Like,
Fair enough.
talk the fuck up.
Go with it.
I grew up in the 80s, as you guys probably know, and I've defended 80s cartoons before, but I also grew up over in Germany during the 80s, and so my relatives here in the States would
Animated
videotape-
Shiza.
They'd record
Lots
stuff
of
on
Knight Rider.
VCR and send it over to me. So I grew up with a lot of He-Man and Silverhawk and Mask and My Pet Monster.
Mask and Silverhawk. I don't. My
Right
Pet
on.
Monster. I don't know.
I'm right there with them,
There's
yeah.
a whole bunch
I
of
know
G.I.
some-
Joe, all those 80s cartoons,
Hell yeah.
I think really instilled in me a love of toys.
Yeah.
and that was the point. Exactly.
And breakfast cereal.
I would like to take this time while you said that to point out in the Transformers 2 comments, people are like, I don't understand why you can't understand that it's a movie based on toys, and that's why you guys don't see that it's good. I was like, wait, what? It's like 3 or 4 people made that like as though like, oh, it's based on toys, so you
Well,
can't
'cause
judge
you guys
it like
didn't
other
have
stuff.
toys
Oh, it
back
gets a
then,
free
right?
pass to have racism in it.
What are you talking about?
Hey, what's this about the Transformers having balls? I didn't know what that was. I didn't
Oh,
listen
yeah,
to the
okay,
full
Devastator. I guess like the Constructicons.
review. He has balls hanging from like
He
the
does
truck.
have-
has-
Wrecking
he has-
balls.
He has
Construction
testicles.
wrecking
Testicles.
Oh,
yeah.
that's so awesome! I got
No,
you.
it's
not
not
awesome,
awesome.
No, that's hilarious.
No, Grant, you're wrong.
You are mistaken.
Okay, well,
You better go back to the
you guys
80s
also
animation.
Kinda
didn't
funny.
grow up with Transformers, but I think that's
Yeah,
hilarious.
you know what? I did, and I
Mate-
don't want to see nuts on the giant.
I
What
don't
is
want
it?
to see nuts on the
Destructicon?
trucks who drive around
Devastator.
town, let
Devastator.
alone in the movie.
But here's the thing, you guys. Like, I don't want this podcast to be about that movie.
No.
Okay,
But,
sorry.
But,
Move
but
around.
having-
I'm sorry,
But,
I'm sorry I
testicles
sidetracked.
on that
Yeah.
thing. That's
But
the least of it.
If we're talking
That is
cartoons,
the very least. It
we
was
have
it was
to
one of those
bring in
things like they had
Transformers.
beaten you over the head with so many different things, and by the time that came up, you're kind of like, wow, really that too? It's not enough that you just stomp me in the ground. You're gonna spit in my eye too.
It was the twin cherries on the Sunday of
They're
Evil.
going to teabag you.
yeah.
Um,
Thank you. Yeah, teabag it.
Big
Yeah,
Decepticon
perfect.
teabag.
It's really hard for me to watch this movie with your balls in my face.
Oh, it's like Blue Wiener and Watchmen. I'm just what? Wait, no.
Hey, let's hear
I
more
think-
about your love of
no,
Blue Wiener.
No, subject change. I
Okay.
think that
So the '80s toy cartoons.
yes,
those were
that,
your big ones.
But one of the cartoons that I think really is one of the ones I love the most is one called Galaxy High.
I remember Galaxy
You remember
High.
that?
I love that
it.
cartoon.
Oh, yeah.
That
Best
was really
cartoons.
good.
And it only had I don't think it lasted more than a season.
Yeah,
but
yeah. It was a season, maybe a season and a half.
It was
I
so
just moved
fun.
to Austin
I
around that time.
found some on YouTube the other day because I got really curious. It actually wasn't as cool as I remember it being, but it is on YouTube. You can
Well,
find
see,
it.
okay, Kristen, here's the thing about that. Animation was pretty much dead at this point. Like, the only cartoons you got were everything Grant just named, which were pretty much 30-minute toy commercials. And nobody was trying to do anything interesting except for Galaxy High and maybe reboots.
I think
where
it's
there was
unfair
some
to say
real
anything interesting.
There was
about
nothing,
those.
like, there was nothing that wasn't trying to sell you stuff.
All those they're all trying to sell you. It's just dependent on if they're trying to sell you toys versus the plot of the thing.
No,
Please instruct
Grant,
me on
please.
what Bugs Bunny is trying to sell me.
That's not-
other
that's
than a
not- yeah,
Warner
that's
Brothers
not
cartoon.
fair.
On its-
Cross-dressing.
Transvestism.
Anvils.
Trying to
Handles.
sell you on the thing itself to go, hey,
Well, the
this is good
commercials
that I'm
in
watching.
between that would also sell the toys is
No.
what reinforced it. But the
No.
cartoon
Not a
had
valid argument
plot.
because the original cartoons were shown in movie theaters without commercials.
No, but I'm talking about like He-Man. I know that it had
Grant, I will
cartoons.
destroy you.
Grant, they built episodes around toys that they made.
Yeah, and I fucking loved it.
Yeah.
I
Same here.
really did.
I don't have anything against a lot of those cartoons. I wasn't particularly a big fan of G.I. Joe because I was reading the Larry Hama comic book at the time. But I didn't think Master of the Universe was all that bad.
I just don't
It
feel
was-
it
it was
diminishes
goofy-
the
it was
story
goofy
that
and
there's
fun.
also marketing going on behind
But-
the scenes.
It
yeah,
just-
but that it's almost it's marketing and nothing else to an extent.
No, I don't think so. I mean, I didn't care whether they gave me the toys or not. Yeah, I had all the toys, but I enjoyed. I had them, but I didn't care because I loved the cartoons so much. And when I think I can still go back and watch all those things and enjoy them, whereas I watch like some modern stuff now that is blatant just sell-its, and there's no plot. There's not interesting. I'm not engaged at all.
And I will say this, that like the G.I. Joe toys, I grew up right on the cusp of the tiny G.I. Joe toys and the big 12-inch Kung Fu Grip
Yeah.
G.I. Joe toys. And I remember as a kid, when I had those big G.I. Joe toys, I was like, wow, I wish there was a cartoon about this. I wish somebody would make a movie about this. I wish somebody had read a comic book about this.
Well, there
It's
is.
the, it's a Star Wars.
It is kind of a
Yes,
chicken and the egg
It's the
type
Star
of
Wars
thing.
argument because
yeah.
Star Wars, okay, it made so much money off toys. I bought all the toys. Did the fact that they were marketing toys from it ruin the movies? No. But
Not
did it
until the
ruin the
prequels.
next 3 movies?
Yes,
Yes,
it did.
absolutely. it
I
did.
no,
And
I
it
don't
ruined
think it
everything.
ruined those movies.
It
Those
They were
movies
ruined
ruined
on their
the-
Okay,
own.
here's
They
the
don't-
here's the thing is that
My
as far as
Yoda cup
marketing
was
toys
awesome.
and everything goes, and I know we're getting off track here, but Jedi actually it was in full effect with Jedi. I mean, it was really starting to snowball with Empire Strikes Back. But if you think of Return of the Jedi, everyone in the Western world knows what an Ewok is, and yet the word Ewok is not uttered once in that entire fucking movie.
Yeah, and why is that? Because Kenner Toys made the
Are
decision
you
to have
serious?
Ewoks in that film.
Not once.
Oh, wow.
Well, okay, now you know what happened, right? Originally, it
Really?
was supposed to be a Wookiee planet.
What about Battle
right?
of Endor? They said in that.
It was originally supposed to be a Wookiee planet, and Kenner Toys came to George Lucas. And keep in mind that Lucas wasn't making much money off the movies themselves. He signed a devil's bargain with Fox, for Fox's side of it anyway, that I'm sure they're still kicking themselves for it now, where he had all merchandising rights. Lucas still owns all the merchandising rights. He invented this entire thing we're talking about
Right.
toys with everything. It's because of him. And by Return of the Jedi, he was like, well, fuck, this is where I'm making my money. When Kenner Toys went to him, who had a contract just with Lucas, and said, you know, we've looked at the script, and this Wookiee thing seems all right, but we came up with this idea for Ewoks. That was Kenner Toys.
It's
How
like,
about
sure.
cuddly teddy bears?
Yeah, exactly.
instead?
You can
This
have
is not
Sasquatches
art.
or teddy bears.
This is not art. This is just pure marketing, and don't make any mistake.
But
Yeah.
the thing about having your
one of the worst
cartoons and then having your toys is that you could play with your toys at home, and it was kind of like an interactivity with the cartoon itself.
Yeah, I
because
agree.
then the characters that you were interacting with at home with your friends and your siblings or whatever, you could watch on Saturday morning do new stuff. And
I-
so that's kind of cool.
I
No
love that
problem
because
with
I would watch He-Man and I'm like, oh, it's an episode with Ram Man. I'm gonna bring out Ram Man.
Exactly.
Although that
Push him down,
being
he bounces.
said, I was certainly watching cartoons before they became the marketing devices that they did inevitably become, and like while watching cartoons, I was playing with my Legos and making up my own shit about that. So
Yeah, Roger Ebert said in his hysterical review of Transformers 2. If you haven't read it yet, you should.
Okay.
Where he's saying every kid
Well,
who is
writing, anyway.
picking up a Transformers toy and playing with it with their own stories is making a much better movie in their head than this movie. And that's great. That's terrific. Let them buy the toys. Let them come up with those stories. That's fantastic. I had no problem with that, and there being market for that. But this movie is nothing but just
he's
trying
so
to
dead
sell
on.
more
well,
toys.
Well, let me say this about the old cartoons. It's like I grew up watching those and always dreaming that they would make toys of them, and they never would. It just it killed me. So I was happy when they started making them. As a matter of fact, I was trying to analyze, like, why am I buying so many action figures? Am I really going back to that, wanting that, be that little kid who had the toys and these things? Because now they make them, but then they also pushed it to the point to where, like, you'll have 106 variations of a Batman figure.
Yeah.
Where he's
Well,
wearing
you will,
zebra
anyway.
camouflage. And I realized, okay.
Yeah, that's the Grant Morrison
it's
Batman
so, like,
R.I.P. version.
Things have gone to that level to where, like, wow, it went from where I didn't like it to where I like it to where I love it to back to where, like, okay, now you're whoring and I don't like it again.
Have they made
it's a real monkey's paw, kind of like, be careful what you wish for.
Yeah.
Have they made a Batman on crystal meth toy yet?
Well, we should have a toy episode. I know
Yeah.
someone
We're
I'm
commented,
getting
pushing
off
for a
track.
toy episode.
someone commented on one of the forums. You guys spend so much of your time on every Leog talking about other shows you should have. But yeah, we should have a toy episode because I would love to talk about Mighty Mode.
Well, let's
to,
go back
to,
to
re-
the animation.
to redirect animation back on what we
yeah.
were talking about, I think that's a great segue into Transformers the movie and G.I. Joe the movie.
Well, we still were doing the round table though. So
Oh,
I think it's a
I'm
chance.
sorry.
I'm sorry, Jason. You're right. That would have been a great segue.
I broke-
but I don't want to feel like I let down Kristen, Allison, and Fish,
Fuck them. Jesus.
and you. You haven't gotten a chance to say your thing
he's just
either.
so
yet.
I'll
good.
just
It's
say it.
okay.
I'll just say it. I don't
I'll
care.
fuck
but
him up later.
all right,
That's
fine.
right. I'll watch and maybe help by rooting.
Kristen, what was your big part?
I'll tie
your
your
big
wrist
stuff.
together.
I also grew up in the 80s, so I love the 80s stuff too. I love She-Ra, I love Thundercats, I love He-Man, I love My Little Pony and Care Bears.
Jason's a big She-Ra fan too.
And, also,
She-Ra.
also,
he owned the Hordak Castle.
Did you mention Care
I would
Bears?
like
You
to
had
point
love
out
them, too.
is She-Ra's adversary, not He-Man.
No, you're
Okay.
God, you're fucking it up, Bo. I'm sorry, Kristen. Go ahead.
Kristen, this
I
is
don't
not
know.
that
I
you're
was
not
talking
feminine.
and now I'm being interrupted.
You're very feminine. However, you're also cool to the point that I have a hard time picturing you sitting there going, "Go, My Little Pony, go!"
Oh, I love. Now, mind you, when I was Little Ponies, we were very small.
Yeah.
So, and it's not go Milo, but you took the pony and you
My
made it
sisters
gallop
had My
around.
Little Pony when I was still
Actually-
young enough, and I loved playing
Yeah,
with it too.
actually,
That does not surprise me
my
in
favorite
the
pony,
Did
I
not
still
admit that on a podcast.
I still have because she's purple and she's sitting down and she's got supposedly seashells on her ass, but damn it if it doesn't look like marijuana leaves to me.
Cartoons.
So I had
Cartoons.
to-
Let's get
I
back
had
to the
keep that.
cartoons.
We're talking about My Little Pony.
Chicks
In-
love
in
You
the
are aware
cartoon
that
when she
was a
sitting in
cartoon,
that one
right?
episode.
Was it?
Yeah.
Anyway, I was going to say, though, growing up in the 80s, for me as a little girl, I did not have any sort of really strong female role models in my family. When I turned on the TV, I had Chitara and I had She-Ra, and those were, totally my strong female role models. as a
Chitara
little
was
girl.
hot.
Chitara was hot. She was awesome. And
I
actually,
don't know that.
I'm not even a furry lover.
Thundercats.
Oh, see, I didn't watch Thundercats.
My
You
also.
sure about that, Jason?
Well, there's something wrong with it. It also.
Maybe there is.
Thundercats features still my favorite moment of animation. It's during the theme song. Every little character has their intro, and Chitara's intro, if you take it and you put it frame by frame, you will be amazed at how much detail goes into every single one of these enemies. Like, there's just detail on their costumes for one frame of animation you are never going to see. And, like, they've got on different layers and different planes as she's running through. And it's just an amazing moment of animation because
Wow.
no
No,
one puts that much fucking effort into
she's
it
right,
anymore.
because the thing about the Thundercats that got me at one point when I stepped back and watched it, because everybody loves Thundercats, because Thundercats had such amazing animation on the intro. And the rest of the show was like the most like choppy Rankin
Slapped
Bass
together.
animation you could
Rankin Bass.
Well,
imagine.
it always looked like it was the same people who did He-Man, wasn't it? The
No,
same
no,
guy?
no,
No,
it
it was
was
Rankin
not.
Bass.
But it looked about like the same level of animation.
It was
He-Man
like
had some
seeing
cool
like
stuff, spinning with a sword.
the like some of the old toys, like the Micronauts toys. They'd have this great picture on the box. It's
Yeah.
like, oh my god, this looks incredible, and then you get it out of the box, you're just like, oh wow, this is just a plastic piece of crap.
Yeah, the Micronauts toys were
Dude,
kind of
do-
shitty.
Do not besmirch the Micronauts.
No, the original metal
Because
line,
the Micronauts were some of the best toys
the original
ever.
metal stuff was awesome.
And it was,
you know.
and they fought with the X-Men on multiple.
And they had a
occasions.
great comic, like of all
Yeah.
those toy
The first
related
12
comic
issues of
books.
Micronauts.
That was the best
Michael
toy
Golden
tie-in
and
ever.
Animation.
definitely the best thing Bill Mantlo ever wrote.
It is
wrote,
incredible
as far
how
as
much toys come up when we talk about anime.
You're
No,
just keep
only
bringing
when we
it
talk
back.
about
The 80s.
only when we talk about your generation's cartoons.
That's funny how that works.
That's okay. I'm cool with it. I'm excited. It's just
He just doesn't want to stop digging at that. To go, your generation's cartoon sucks, Grant. Can we move on?
because you guys had toys also to play with, assholes. I hate your generation.
Hey, we had toys. We had Batman stuff, right? Which explains a lot.
Yeah, we
Not
had
really.
we had the Mego dolls.
True.
I
we did
had
have
awesome.
Amigo doll.
I had the Planet of the Apes playset,
Yeah.
which
Oh,
was
dude.
awesome. And god damn it, I wish I hadn't sold it at a
I
yard
had the Star
sale.
Trek one.
Man, I
with,
hate-
with the working transport.
Oh my God, do you know how much that's worth?
Diamond Select is actually they're putting out the old cloth Mego dolls of the Star Trek and Planet of the Apes stuff, and they do have the playset with the transporter. And it looks like the original.
Oh,
So
my God.
Well, we keep going back to
$80.
us old people. It's supposed to be young people
Yeah,
now.
yes, young people
Kristen,
time.
what was your favorite of these cartoons growing up, though?
Growing up, it would have to be a tie between Thundercats and She-Ra. I love them both.
Okay,
And that's just growing up. We're going to get into like later years. Right?
fair enough. No, we're just doing with the stuff
Little
we
ones.
started with.
Our nascents.
Allison.
Let's go to Allison.
Well, I would like to say that I did watch the My Little Ponies cartoons, and I had the My Little Ponies and the castle with the drawbridge. But when I played My Little Ponies, it was more like Dune. It was like Princess Sparkle Venom. You have locked me up for the last time. Oh yes, Night Glitter Pants.
Night Glitter.
I destroy
Was that
you.
actually a name of one of the My Little
No,
Ponies?
it always
You will learn
included,
that my name is a killing word, Sparkle Kitty.
See, it was always like I would put in some kind of like glittery feminine thing, but then it would always be like with murder. So
I'm the best at what I do.
Allison's
what I do is
doing
nice.
what you guys don't see
I
is
do is
Allison is
bedazzle
doing hand
saddles.
signals with her little puppets too
I would
as
like,
she narrates it.
I would
So
like
good.
to point out, speaking of My Little Pony, that when Spill first started, I did a joke with images and everything of because they announced Michael Bay's Transformers, and I did a joke with Michael Bay's My Little Pony, where I'd written the whole synopsis and everything. And I've looked on the internet, and I was the first guy to do that. Thank you very much. It's happened like all over
Very
the place
good.
since then. I give myself kudos.
Congratulations.
Well,
You're
good
the
for you.
There it is. There it is. Thank you.
Back to
You and I are
Allison.
fucking done professionally.
But I would like to comment on two cartoons that I think are some of the reasons why I'm fucked up today.
Awesome.
And that is the original Little Mermaid. That was
the creepy Hans Christian
the
Andersen one?
creepy Hans Christian Andersen
Ooh.
one with
Yeah.
death and witches
Yeah.
and
That freaked me out.
The way
Yeah.
it should be.
yeah. It,
fair
I
enough.
remember
Before penis
watching
castles, huh?
that before the priest direction. Yes.
Yes.
So I remember watching that as a little kid and just kind of being scarred. Like, this doesn't have a happy ending. Life doesn't have a happy ending.
Your mom was like,
And that's what you get when you allow Danes to write children's stories.
and your mom
Never
was like,
let them do
"Shut
it.
up, Allison, and bring me my bottle of whiskey."
I bet I can guess what your next
Back
one
in the
is.
70s, like, you were considered a pussy if your movie had a happy ending. They would go out of their way to make sure movies had depressing endings.
Oh man, I saw a Pinocchio from like the early '80s that was like
Super scary.
German or something. Do you know what
Yeah.
I'm talking
Oh
about?
Yeah.
Yeah, and they've got like this creepy scene where like Pinocchio is hanging from a noose on a tree in the middle of a thunderstorm.
Is that the stop motion
Yeah.
animation one?
Is it? I don't know.
Okay,
I tried to block it out.
when I was a kid, and I have been trying, I have used all of my Google Foo and all of my horrible powers.
I used to hang dolls from trees all
No,
the time.
When I was in
Practice
I
for
was in
hookers.
a daycare in the very early '80s, and they showed us this anime version of Jack and the Beanstalk that is one of the most fucked up things I have ever seen.
Huh.
and it was just like completely trippy and surrealistic. And to this day, I'm like, God, if somebody can clue me into the title of this and show me where to get it, I just want to see if it was just as fucked up as I thought it was, or if they were slipping us a little.
Go
something
forth,
Spillians. If they were
Spillians.
slipping us a little something in the juice and cookies.
Find it.
So yes,
Spillians.
go my evil minions, go
What's
and
the
kill
name-
the internet.
What's the name of the famous? There's a famous stop motion animator from Sweden.
Brothers Quay?
No, but they're the guys who were influenced by him. It's
Is it
Svankmajer.
Jurgen?
No, John Svankmajer. And I was thinking he did the Pinocchio,
Wait,
but I could be
Sigmar wasn't
wrong.
one of the
Maybe.
Ghostbusters?
Because he was working in the early 80s, so I don't know.
Well,
It's a
what's
maneuver.
your other one, Allison?
So I think actually Leon posted the Romeo and Juliet clips,
Yeah.
which
What is that?
Oh, it was about two robots that fell. I mean, it's a Romeo and Juliet story, West Side Story. You guys seen this, but it was robots. Romeo and Juliet.
Oh, I get it. And when did this come out?
I don't know. It had to have been like 80
Wait,
something.
This is the other one that fucked you up, as you said?
Yeah. Because I knew the story of Romeo and Juliet whenever I watched this, and I was like, wait a minute. This is Romeo and Juliet with robots.
So
What was that Andy Kaufman movie with the robots?
Heartbeeps.
Yeah, Heartbeats.
I just saw that, though.
It's funny you would bring that up because
scary.
I can never think of Romeo and Juliet without thinking of Heartbeeps also.
Yeah, was it Carol Kane or Bernadette Peters?
Bernadette Peters.
I can't remember the last time I did think of heart beeps. Thank you.
But I have a similar challenge for the Spillions as I also was in daycare where they showed us some crazy fucked up animation, and it was like,
Thanks, daycare.
yeah, thanks daycare for ruining an entire generation.
That's called ritual satanic abuse, I think.
I'm pretty sure that at some point we were led into a shack next to a garage and force-fed amphetamines and forced to watch donkey porn. But before the donkey porn,
Pretty sure.
pretty sure. It's the retroactive
I vaguely
amnesia.
recall.
Yeah.
So,
Allison for the win.
Drink your roofie milk.
yeah, it's special milk. So they would wheel out one of those like reel-to-reel projectors, where you'd have to load up the tapes and feed it into the machine and start the tape player when it told you to on the screen.
Oh, yeah.
And it was this like
This is the way we used to tell story with lights and pictures.
it's painting with light. So then it was like this purple and black, very expressionist show about somebody riding on a carriage to kill somebody in a house, and there was ghosts and people came back from the dead and stuff, and I was like 4. And so there you go. There's your explanation, Mom.
This
Was
is
it
really
the was it the sword in the stone?
What?
Oh, so you don't remember what it's called?
No.
Just from that. Okay.
This is
Yeah,
really
I challenge
unsettling.
you.
I'm-
Find this.
And that's why she cuts herself today. So it's because of that.
Her forearm looks like a tic-tac-toe playing field on an elementary school.
The only cartoon that ever fucked with me when I was young was Captain Caveman, because he used to do that thing where he would eat the other guys, like put them in, like the other characters, he would put them in his mouth and try and eat them. And when I was a kid, that horrified me.
That was actually
caveman doing that. You don't mean Fang Face?
no. That was
No.
actually Alan Moore.
That was actually Alan Moore.
Before we move on to Fish, I can't believe we just had both of you come on say 80s cartoons, but neither of you mentioned
Jim?
No. Well, that one too. I
Gem
guess.
and
Jim is truly
But-
outrageous.
Yeah.
I actually watched Gem and Holograms, hoping over and over to catch a glimpse of Glenn Danzig, but never was it done.
Rainbow Bright and Strawberry Shortcake were
Rainbow
two that my
Bright.
sisters watched
Actually, yeah,
all the
I did.
time,
I watched
so-
those both.
Was it
quite a
Rainbow
great
Bright, that
deal.
thing where you put little pegs in?
No,
like,
that's
a
Rainbow
Light
Bright.
Bright.
That's
Oh,
Light
okay.
Bright.
It's light bright.
Rainbow Bright is the outfit that all the hot raver
I
chicks
got
used
a-
to dress up in.
I got a Rainbow Bright story.
Yes.
Do you remember she had little sprites? They
No,
were
I
these-
didn't watch it.
Yeah, sure. Okay, so
Whatever, Grant.
there were these
I'm telling everybody that, Grant.
there were these
never
things called
played before.
sprites. They were little
Yeah, they were the little furry
things with
things.
legs.
Yeah.
So I got to learn about sex when I found my cat humping the shit out of our Sprite, and I was like, "What's Kitty doing?"
Wow. Then your mom explained to you. Then.
No, I don't think I pointed it out. I just saw
Okay.
it, and then later,
It came to
Thick
you.
Flat.
so to speak.
Oh, he was humping the Sprite. How was he humping the Sprite?
He was violating her.
I can't believe you learned about sex so early. I mean, I was like 18, 19. before
Honestly,
I learned
that
about
sounds like every Sprite commercial.
Grant was
So-
like 18 before he simulated sex between his Rainbow Bright dolls.
Yeah, it was $6 Million Man and Princess Leia for me, but
You know, I'm never telling you personal stories again, Jason. You asshole.
but
Survey says fish.
no, Jason never got his chance to do his thing.
Survey says
what?
fish.
Oh,
He's losing for actually admitting that he watched Rainbow Bright.
I didn't.
He just
You knew
knew
about
what
the
it
sprites.
was.
You know so much about furries, though.
We're running him out on a rail.
Come on.
Okay, anyway, I'm a 90s child, so I was lucky enough to grow up with stuff like Pinky and the Brain, Animaniacs, Batman
nice.
the
Oh,
Animated
you bastard.
Series.
You got all the good.
I wish I
you got
could.
it when things turned around again.
I wish
no,
I
no,
could.
I actually,
Hey!
Yeah,
Guys.
you're not like these four jackasses.
Look,
that have been real and bent.
I'll admit to you, like, we grew up with those 60s and 70s cartoons, and, man, they had charm, and people really tried. But you look back at them, and the best thing about them is the theme song.
With the exception
No,
of the Warner Brothers,
I
like,
still
Bugs
watch
Bunny and stuff.
But then, like, in the 80s, yeah, it was all about marketing. And it was just nothing really creative, all that well done. But now you got to Batman the Animated Series. Well, actually, Tiny Toons really was the
Yeah.
beginning. But Batman the Animated Series turned everything around.
Well, let's
that,
let Jason
that was the
list-
beginning of the revolution.
Let's let Fish list his
Fish,
favorites.
what you got?
Yes.
but anyway, when I first started, no.
He agrees with you, but he wants
But the
to
thing
talk
is,
about
I started
his
watching
favorites.
cartoons when those were wrapping up. So unfortunately,
All right.
I was in the unlucky crowd who, yes,
you're
I
gonna have
watched
to
Pokemon.
speak up, kid. I can
Okay.
barely hear you.
Let me say that I'm sitting next to you, and you left off a couple of important ones that we have talked about before.
Such as
X-Men.
ha.
Oh.
Anyway,
X-Men
so,
and Spider-Man were my generation, too, kind of.
Hey,
See,
I watched them
was
also.
saying we were going to need
Yeah,
to
Spider-Man
find
and his
stuff I
amazing
watched
friends.
in high school because he's talking
Or
about
the ones
stuff I
from
was
the
watching in
90s.
high school.
Yeah, but that's the thing. That'll be our lead off back to the
Oh yeah,
next level.
and can I bring up back from the Daredevil episode that we recorded at Rogues Gallery? Was it the Daredevil episode?
it was
Yeah.
Daredevil.
Yeah.
Yeah, where Fish is all like, "Oh, I tried to watch the X-Men cartoon and had like Wolverine in space. What the hell was that?" Chris
Claremont.
fucking Claremont, dude.
Hey, can we all?
God
can we
damn
all
it.
say it together? Shut the
Fuck up, Fish.
Except he didn't actually say it this time. So
Oh,
He
okay.
didn't have to. I'm still
It's we're
pissed.
sending it to the past.
yeah.
Yeah, you cannot.
I just
besmirch
wanted
the
to put in
X-Men
a note that
cartoon.
I was like 6 when I tried to watch those cartoons. I had no idea what the fuck was going on.
Starjammers,
but anyway,
You're
bitch.
such a baby.
But anyway, I was unfortunate that I grew up more with Pokemon, Jackie Chan Adventures, Street Sharks,
Jackie
reboot.
Chan Adventures?
No, dude,
really?
dude,
You're more
Jackie
good
Chan
fight
Adventures-
It's
itself.
good,
You're
but
more
I
was a
good
good
just
show.
can't
fight
believe you're that
itself.
young.
Yeah, no, Jackie Chan Adventures was actually a good show.
Okay.
It
found,
was.
They found something
It was
good to
cool.
do with it, and it's funny because they would throw like you'd watch it and you're like, man, why didn't they use the real Jackie Chan for the voice? But then Jackie Chan himself in a live action sequence would come on at the end of the show, and you'd hear him and go like, oh yeah, that's why. Never mind. I'm serious. Sorry. So, like, it's in syndication now. If you find some time, like, watch it where it comes on every day. Just set that time.
It's kind of fun.
aside. Yeah,
It
you'll
is.
get into it because
Okay.
he's usually on a mission to collect.
When
all
it was
of
on,
something.
I was a huge Jackie Chan fan of his movies. I was like, really? An animated version defeats the point entirely. for me.
You think
But-
that, but they had good stories.
So I'm surprised some of the people like in the '80s. Nobody gave me Ducktales.
Oh, well, we missed.
I
I was
wasn't
going to say
thinking
we
that
missed
was
an
80s
entire
though.
Nobody
Disney
gave me Danger
generation.
Mouse.
Don't make me
we-
sing the
we gotta come
entire
back around
DuckTales
again to
theme
that.
song.
We missed
No.
Tailspin.
Yeah, I
and
actually like that more than
Darkwing
Darkwing
Because I
Duck,
wasn't thinking of
DuckTales.
that as 80s for some reason. I put it
Rescue
in the
Rangers.
90s.
We got to come back around to those.
Yeah.
We're just doing like formative.
There's so
stuff.
many. Yeah.
Get through. We're not even through the formative part, and
Yeah,
we're
that
already
was
reaching
middle
hour
school for me.
one.
I was
Yeah.
talking about
Yeah.
baby stuff. Really.
This was what we were inspired
Continue,
by.
Fish.
So, Fish, what were your biggest stuff? What was the stuff you'd look back and go, you know what, this is probably the stuff that influenced me, who I am as an artist, and
Batman the Animated Series.
That was your big one?
It
oh
was
yeah,
Pokemon.
and The Simpsons. I'm
How could
so
it not
shocked
be?
nobody's mentioned this.
Well, we're
Well-
definitely going to spend some time on
Yeah,
this.
I mean,
Again, we're
Simpsons
talking about what
has
we
been
grew
on
up
forever.
with.
grew up with. Well,
mean-
yeah, that kind of started when I grew
Is
up.
it
like,
bizarre?
the
Simpsons.
seasons.
The Simpsons is older than Fish.
It's
Yeah.
true.
It is.
I started in the
Oh
late-
my
It's
god!
it's
Wow.
older than Grant too. I think.
I remember watching the
it?
Tracy Ullman show before
Yeah.
The Simpsons
The
when they
thing-
had
I think it was
It's
like
really
87
close.
or
The thing is, Grant,
86.
it might not be, but it's enough for us to question it.
Yeah.
Well, I did have the nickname Bart for a long time when I was a teenager by like a lot of my family. I
You're a
thought that was
Scientologist?
yeah. Grant, don't have a cow. All right.
Eat my
And
shorts.
stop
bro.
believing
Eat my
in
shorts.
your Galactic Overlord.
And when I continued to grow up, I got more into stuff like Clone High and Invader Zim.
Invader Zim is amazing.
I love how he qualified with that. I continued to grow up instead of I grew up.
As the growing up went on.
Invader Zim story, real quick.
Go for it.
Okay, go.
Yes.
The first time I saw the very first episode of Invader Zim, I was on mushrooms at at a condo in Colorado. It was the most beautiful thing I'd ever seen.
And what punctuates this story beautifully is that she ran back into the room to say this holding a gallon of vodka in her hand.
Anyway,
that has a bunch of mushrooms.
The resident druggie
I
of
really
Leon.
wish I had the camera rolling at this point to see that, to capture that.
Can you infuse magic mushrooms?
Yes, you can, actually.
I'm sure you can.
Continue, fish.
And finally, like, once web cartoons started coming out, I sort of got into stuff like Homestar Runner when that was first starting, and also...
Nice.
Mr. Wong? Anybody Mr. Wong? I used to love Mr. Wong.
I'm just glad that you were able to bridge the gap into internet tunes.
But also,
That's good,
something
yeah.
I'm not sure if y'all have heard of. Do y'all know the Seventh Portal and the Accuser?
No.
It's something
No.
Stan Lee produced. It was all made in Flash and...
Was that the one with
yeah.
Pamela Anderson as a...
No,
No, before that.
Well, a lot-
Stan Lee had a whole
Yeah.
had his whole company.
It lasted for about a year, and then it went under.
Well, it was during that time you had that magic year or two where it was Stan Lee's company and Icebox.com. And
Yeah.
Icebox,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, they had all the edgy
Zombie, what was the zombie
It was
show?
Zombie High.
Yeah, that was
there
it.
was,
That was
great. One of my favorites, Queer Duck, which moved on to Showtime for a little while. I love Queer Duck. Had the best theme song ever.
Shouldn't there be a that's Grant's favorite show joke coming from Jason at this point?
There was my roommate, the superhero, that had Brian Posehn doing a
And then,
voice
like
on-
Jesus and his brothers
yeah,
or something
yeah,
like that?
yeah, and what was the big one? Well, Mr. Wong was one of the big one.
Me too.
Big ones.
Mr.
It was
Wong, what?
Dogs
didn't
Playing
he own
Pokers?
the like laundry and the Calgon
well,
commercial? What
Mr.
the
Wong was about this rich bitch's houseboy. He was like an old Asian, total stereotype guy, but they did really
Played by Mickey
funny,
Rooney.
offensive stuff with it. Well, it was. I think the voice was the guy who does Master Shake on.
So a lot of this was kind of a
Aqua Teen Hunger
precursor to
Oh,
that
so-
whole Adult Swim thing.
Yes, it was.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's exactly what
That
it
was where you were finding there for a while. That was where you would find the old cutting edge cartoons, or the new cutting edge cartoons at the time was Icebox.com. The internet had all of the good stuff like Hard Drinkin' Lincoln.
Yes,
Oh,
Hard
yes.
Drinking Lincoln.
Oh, my God, I
Well, that was the
forgot
same guy
about
who did Queer Duck.
Okay.
He started Mike Reese. He also he was like the main animator on Simpsons for a good
Around
year.
what
Really?
time was
Yeah.
this?
2000?
Yeah, 2000.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. As a matter of fact, I had a great job watching those cartoons all the time. And then once those planes hit the towers, we got laid off and things just sucked shit for a while. But the sad thing was, this was like right before the internet bust. This was during the boom.
Yeah.
So all these guys were like pumping out these great cartoons and getting paid in stock options, thinking they were millionaires.
Oh, yeah.
Until 2001 when they realized
When the
that-
bubble burst.
Yes.
Yeah, very literal.com crash.
Yeah.
Now, a lot of those you can still see them on like Spike and Mike collections and stuff like that. I know that's where Dr. Tran
And you can
resides.
still see a lot of the
Spiky.
animators at street corners with
Yeah.
signs that
Yeah.
say, we'll draw a picture
It'll draw
for
for
food.
food.
Yeah, maybe here on your own personal Leog.
And also, before I move away from internet cartoons, Mondo Media had stuff like News and also Thugs on Film, which is kind of just like, I consider it like an ancestor to Spill.com because it was British like
I'm pretty
animated
sure
movie
Spill.com
Yeah.
was completely original.
Ixnay on the original A.
So,
reviews.
Wait, what was the? It was Heavy.com that had a bunch of good stuff too.
Let
around that
me just say this about that.
Uh-oh. Captain Bad
Thugs on
Experience.
Film was an internet movie review thing before Spill, but the real deal was at least 6 years before
Which
Thugs on
I'm
Film.
sure they were all watching public access television in wherever that came
Britain?
from.
Yeah, you bet they were. They're a bunch
Are
of thieves.
public access shows?
They're a bunch of colonialists. Of course they were.
I don't know.
they
about
were
that.
torrenting that shit all the time.
I'm gonna go with the whole Jungian consciousness thing on that one and take a break from that. But yeah, no. Did you ever remember Heavy.com had their parody of Where Are They Now and the VH1 type shows that were really funny? And I think they're the ones who did that whole thing about the Napster deal with Metallica talking about like don't steal our songs with James Hetfield as Frankenstein. Do you remember that?
Oh yeah, those were really funny.
Those were really funny.
Yeah.
But-
They it was during the whole Napster craze and people they were pillorying James Hetfield and Sheryl Crow.
Well
was
deserved.
Lars Igor?
Well, Lars
'Cause
was
he
like
seems like an
Lars
Igor.
was the one going. So guys, what you got to do is this isn't right. They're stealing our music. And James Hetfield would go, "Bad."
how am I gonna afford my golden Ferrari?
But okay. Well, let's go into just the
Well,
general.
you didn't answer, did you?
Yeah, I did. I talked about Scooby Doo.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
We're the old people who agreed on all the same stuff. So, no, let's just talk about the general stuff that in general, like as far as TV goes, the stuff that's just really great from whenever. I mean, stuff that's been fantastic. I mean, Venture Brothers is obviously
Yes.
one of the
Can we
number
talk about
one
Venture Brothers?
answers,
I mean, you know what? I always think it's the greatest cartoon, and then sometimes I kind of like let it slide to the back of my mind. And then a couple weeks ago, I was over at Grant's house watching some of season 3 again.
Yeah.
You're like,
And
this
it's
is so awesome.
Yeah, it really is.
It's just brilliant.
And believe it or not, we haven't talked about it in so long, the Venture Brothers, because we really haven't. We used to talk about it like every episode. But
well, they take
an
like
update for the people out there who are curious to know. They actually have a good deal of the animation back from overseas.
I read that.
They're
yeah.
in the editing process, so
For
hopefully
season
we
4?
are going to have season 4 at like the beginning of next year.
Awesome.
So that's what it's looking like. Jackson Public actually has a live journal, so go to the live journal site, enter in Jackson Public, all one word, as a username,
Yeah.
and you should be able to find him. And he doesn't update very much, but when he does, it's always a great deal about kind of stuff that's going to be happening. He'll generally put up like a cell or two and show you what's going on. One of the big cool bits of news about the upcoming season, John Hodgman, who most people know from the I'm a PC, I'm a Mac commercials. He's the guy who plays the PC. He's also on the Daily Show a lot. Really,
hilarious.
He's hilarious. He just delivered like a big address
follow
at
him
the
on
White
Twitter.
House. Yeah, he's got a very funny Twitter. He's written a couple of very funny books. But he is going to voice a character in season 4.
Now,
so-
apparently, Kevin Conroy is voicing a character
Oh,
in
indeed he
season
is.
4, who played, of course, Batman and Batman the Animated
he
Series.
is the voice of Batman.
Yeah,
period.
and no one seems to be able to say what it is he's doing, or if he's just in it for one episode, if he's in it for the whole run. But just the fact he's in it is enough to be excited. Anyway,
he's gonna be
just
Brock's dad.
yeah, right. He would be
Right.
great for that.
He
Well,
can play
just
the voice of an amoeba.
just the
Like,
fact
all right.
that there is a season 4 Venture Brothers on the way is enough to be excited. You don't need
The
anything
final
else.
one, right?
As far as I've been
Yeah,
told, it is
I read
the
an
final
interview where
one.
they said this was the last season.
Okay, but
I think it's getting bigger and bigger. Why would they do that?
for those of our fans who don't know, because literally it probably has been about since the first
Yeah.
season we really talked about the Venture Brothers. Somebody give a quick synopsis about what this is about.
The Venture Brothers started out as it was almost a direct ripoff of the Johnny Quest cartoon, which was out in the
A parody, sort of.
out in the late 60s, about like, this boy, his dad's a big famous scientist who travels all around the world, and he's got a bodyguard, and this little Indian guy who's his friend, and his little dog Bandit, and they get into mayhem and adventure. It's kind of in the Scooby Doo way, they're
But on an
like
international
evil
scale.
frogmen and international spies after them.
Scooby Doo
basically-
meets Richie Rich.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it kind of takes that idea and tweaks it to, well, what would this guy be if he grew up and was like trying to be a doctor in his dad's shadow and was kind of an incompetent and a bitter guy, and his kids are kind of twits, and his assigned bodyguard doesn't really like him all that much even, and he's just like made to fail, and that's really what the Venture Brothers is about. It's about failure.
Yeah.
But it does it so funnily, and what they ended up doing, they went with the shtick for a while, and then they started to bring in more and more stuff like comic book tropes, action movie tropes, just all kinds of classic animation stuff that they tweaked and poked their fingers in the eye
Cult
of.
music stuff.
Cult music stuff like you would not believe.
God, they reference Klaus Nomi.
They-
I know.
reference-
Well, he didn't reference him. He's a character.
Yeah, Klaus Nomi, Iggy Pop, David Bowie.
Yeah,
all
David
make-
Bowie's woven all through the first
quote
season.
unquote appearances.
The guy from Labyrinth just turned into a bird.
The guy from Labyrinth just turned into a bird. It was cool. Great voice cast with James Urbaniak and Patrick Warburton, who played the Tick in the live action version,
It was putty.
and plays Brock Sampson, and will utter immortal lines like, Jesus, Hank, where do you come up with this stuff? It's like you're channeling dead crazy people.
If you haven't watched it, why are you still listening?
Yeah, exactly.
Honestly, I would rather you stop this podcast right now and go watch The Venture Brothers if you haven't seen it yet.
You will certainly laugh more.
And honestly, I didn't like it the first time I saw it, and I've talked to several other people who didn't like it the first time they saw it.
No,
and,
I didn't either the first
Yeah,
time.
and but once you give
did
it,
you guys see the very first episode when
Yeah.
you first saw it?
Yeah.
Because the very first episode is different than the others. It's
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
they were getting their feel for it. It was
like-
all done in Flash.
It's one of those shows you want to sit down and go, you know what? I'm going to watch 4 episodes in a row, and they're like 20 minutes or something a piece.
Yeah, 26 minutes.
And just say, you know what?
22.
I'm going to do that. I'm going to give this at least 4 episodes.
Watch
By the time
season-
you're done with the 4th episode, you'll be like, okay, I see what people are
They're
doing.
Watch season 1 up until the yard sale episode. If you have gotten to that point and do not think it's one of the most hilarious things you've ever seen, stop watching. You're done.
once you get to the yard sale episode, if you're not sold on it, oh my god.
Like, there's a guy from Depeche Mode and he's with a girl. Yeah, he's not gay. He's not gay? He's in Depeche Mode, for Christ's sakes.
I liked the show from the beginning, but I didn't love it until they went to Brisbane Land, which is Disneyland.
I
And
think
that was the first David
Yeah.
Bowie reference episode, and that was the one where I went, okay, I love this show.
Yeah.
And I was completely hooked.
You're
from
the
that
one
point
who
on.
sold me on it because I saw. I mean, I'm surprised you don't remember because at first I was like, yeah, I went and I downloaded an episode and went, yeah, I don't really see what all the appeal is, and you were like, what?
well,
I was like, all right, so I'll give it another
is
try.
a little different. You have to get used to
Well,
it.
I rented the first season and just said, I'm going to watch this because I trust Leon. I'm just like, I'm going to give this another chance. And sure enough, totally won me over to the extent that this past Halloween at our big Halloween
That's
party,
true.
I dressed up as Brock Sampson, the bodyguard character on.
And it's funny because if the real Brock Sampson had seen you do that,
He
he
would
would
have
beat the shit out
beat
of
my
you.
ass into shreds. Okay, well, we've got. Sorry.
I just did one of the best things about the Venture Brothers is the fact that the Brock Sampson scenes where he gets into a fight are so blindingly psychotic. It eviscerates anything you will ever see in an action movie or even like a serial killer film.
Especially with Molotov cocktails. Those are great.
Can I do a round robin of favorite Venture Brothers moment for those of you that are familiar with the series?
Yeah, sure.
Okay, well, go.
My favorite is still from Ghost to the Sargasso, which is a
Great
total
episode.
Scooby-Doo episode with the frogmen, people, and the pirate ghost. And Brock Sampson just straight up kills some of these guys, like just brutally. And the main ghost guy is like, what the hell are you doing? You didn't have to kill him. It was like it broke, because this is the Scooby-Doo setup where they're like, oh, they unmask him. But Brock is snapping necks and ripping off limbs. And even the audience is like, Jesus, fuck. That was killing me. Kristen, are you not familiar with the
I
the
haven't
Venture
watched
Brothers?
it yet. I spend too much time drinking with you guys. to
I
do
will
anything
loan you.
else.
I have all 3 seasons. I will loan them.
I'm actually thinking we need to have a Venture Brothers marathon.
Do it.
On your shiny new big
Yeah.
TV.
Watch everything
half
at your
of you
house.
Pretty much
been-
have to do it here because for those of you who don't know, Cyrus just got just as I'm leaving the house,
Sorry.
Cyrus just got a new big ass TV and it's beautiful.
Yeah, and some members sent season 3 to Cyrus and Jason.
Yeah,
And
it's nice.
Did Greg get one?
Is that what he said? He got the electric company, and then
Oh,
did
that's
he
what he
get
got.
that?
Okay.
Once
All right.
again, birthday August 3rd. Letting you people know.
Hey, Bo,
And
if nobody
buy
else does,
Bo
I'll
gifts.
take care
There
of
we
you.
go.
Yeah.
All right,
Which,
but
to be
what-
fair, Bo doesn't have a Blu-ray player, but DVD is
But
always
I will
welcome.
get one at some point. So.
But what's your favorite Venture Brothers moment?
Man, it's really hard to say. I mean, I obviously have basically overdubbed 3 of my favorite instances. I never get sick of the yard sale episode for some reason. There are just so many little bits in that work. Like he's kind of on his enemy's home ground and he has to go take a dump. And he goes to the porta potties and is like, I just can't do it. There are people listening. It's just like that's so great for a superhero. But oddly enough, I will reference one just for Grant's sake, and I don't know why I like this so much, but they have the scene where this guy is going through the Monarch, who's the supervillain nemesis of Dr. Venture. He's going through his vehicle, and he's talking to the guy over the intercom as he's trying to escape. And he's like, so you've escaped the pools of acid, and what lies behind this next door? Is it escape, or is it the polar bear from Lost? And it opens up, and it's a fucking polar bear. And Rah!
Yes, and Lost has been brought up in another episode.
All right, the League Zone Dr. Girlfriend, Allison.
I personally love the episode with my wedding. And the Venture Brothers are at the cabinet with the other henchmen, looking at the weapons. Turns out to be some action figures and related toys. I find that to be especially amusing.
Oh, God, it's Sergeant Hatred. Is he going to touch us again? He touches? You don't remember that?
I just have to say I'm very aroused right now. So, Leon.
Really, like, all 3 seasons are my favorite episodes, but one thing I always go back to is I think it's maybe from the very first episode, which is maybe the weakest one, but it's where Brock kills so many of the Monarch's henchmen.
That's what I was
and
gonna
he's
say.
got Speedy, and like they just filling Brock full of trank darts.
No, that's
And he-
Steel Deal's right. Yeah, that's like the second one. That's
okay,
not the pilot.
Okay, yeah, and he chokes Speedy to death, and they bury him. And when they go back to the Monarch to like say, tell him what happened, and it's like, hey, what happened to Speedy? Oh, we ran into Brock Sampson. And Monarch's just like, Brock Sampson? I don't even want to hear the rest of this.
That was going to be mine. That was going to be mine.
Yeah.
That just said it all.
Yeah. No.
When Brock is in his lair, in his car, in his Charger, running over so many of the Monarch's henchmen, and like there's like this whole scene is red. You think like they use red for dramatic effect, but then he turns on his wipers, and it's really just blood that he's wiping off his windshield.
My favorite is a Brock moment as well, where I want to say I can't remember what the circumstances were, but Hank was asking Brock to kill him, and he said, "Brock, if you were going to kill me, how would you do it?" And he's like, "Quietly, in your sleep, just a quick snack of the neck, or snap the neck." He's like, "You've thought about this?" "Yes, I have." Or when OSI like hands Brock like this big bag of gear for this mission, and there's like all this stuff in there, and Brock's going through it, just tossing it aside like guns and knives. He's like, "Don't need it, don't need it, gay, don't need it, gay, don't need it," and he ends up taking his knife, and that's it.
His ubiquitous thing is he's just got this like massive hunting knife always sheathed at his side until henchmen show up.
Of course, when Brock and Helper are arguing about Led Zeppelin.
Come on! They're great son, they're epic!
What do you mean you don't get it?
Look, this isn't over.
My single favorite line, though, is from the Monarch from the end of season 2, where he just says, "What a dick move!"
I'll eat a dick, Samson!
There's an episode where they all end up meeting up with this the Venture Realities version of the Fantastic Four, and I just love how they characterize
Oh my
them.
god,
There's-
it's so good.
Visible girl.
Yeah, she turns invisible, but you can still see like all her veins and like skin underneath, and it's just disgustingly horrifying. And the Thing is retarded.
He's a pituitary case. Yeah.
and the Human Torch is he's on fire, but he can feel it. So anytime he comes into an oxygen-rich environment, he lights up and he's like,
Okay, Fish, your favorite?
I actually haven't seen the show since the first season and the beginning of the second season.
Fucking Christ.
Leon stole. Yeah, I just haven't had a time to get the DVDs, but Leon actually took one of my favorite moments. I love the beginning of the second season when they show the montage of like how the Venture kids are being killed.
Oh yes, that was awesome.
There's a
don't
Tyrannosaurus
go
Rex.
too far into this because spoilage.
Well,
But-
okay,
Yeah.
the whole bit with Dr. Venture partying and taking acid in a disco.
And Brock keeps trying to chase him down.
Yeah.
Okay, so
the third season is mostly flashback. I mean, it really explains where like all these characters they developed over the first 2 seasons, how they came about, and why they're the way they are, and it's fucking brilliant.
Okay, so for those of you that don't have 4th of July plans, I recommend that you rent as many Venture Brothers DVDs as you can, or buy them even, and watch those. I would also like to recommend for those of us in the league that don't have 4th of July plans that we have a Venture
God
Brothers
damn it,
marathon.
Hell yeah.
Jason! I think this is what George Washington would want us to fucking do.
I think so.
I feel
Go
very-
Team Venture.
I feel very patriotic right now. I think, yeah.
So now that we've
I'm gonna go beat up a Japanese.
I
now
think
that we've
Fish
blown Jackson Public for half an
I
hour,
think Fish needs to make us an animation of Abraham Lincoln busting out of his big stone chair at the memorial and putting a Venture Brothers DVD in the player.
Hey, let us not forget with the upcoming G.I. Joe movie coming out, how the Venture Brothers compared the G.I. Joe to the Village People.
Yeah.
So perfectly.
I would have thought that would be your pick.
And you know what? I had a brain fart because otherwise
You
I'm
love
like,
that
man, I love it so much because like once they did that, now I cannot not see G.I. Joe as the Village People.
CGI Joe.
As the gayest Village People. Let's all hit the showers, boys.
I do want to say this, since now at this point we're just kind of dancing around, but I finally tried to watch G.I. Joe Resolute, and I think it's just one of those things that if you don't already have an affection or even know anything about these characters, which I don't, even though I'm watching it going, it's not that this is bad, I just feel like it requires a pre-knowledge of the stuff to
Not
that
really.
helped. I don't think so, but I think it helped.
Well,
I
because
think it
I got
enhanced
25 minutes in and was like, finally just turned it off. I was like, you know what?
Are you
this is
serious?
just, it was just boring the crap out of me.
I'll tell you what helps. Watching it at work secretly while you're getting paid to do this is awesome.
This is the best thing I've seen all day.
It really was
I
Warren.
gotta say, man, I like after the what I just mentioned with the Venture Brothers, I had no respect for G.I. Joe, and that G.I. Joe Resolute, I went, whoa!
Well,
I forgot G.I. Joe could be cool.
I just
It
wasn't
really
that
was
impressed.
Warren Ellis on autopilot, though. I mean, the guy was just cashing a check. I mean, he really just phoned that in.
The brief bits of G.I. Joe I've seen was like almost in seconds go, wow, this is dumb and not watchable. But that wasn't my problem with this. It was just that I didn't really know what was going on, and I felt like it wanted you to already.
It has
like
one of the
these
best
people.
ninja fights in animation history.
I was going to say that there's only one
Jason,
the
don't
part that
say
I think
that
is just
with our audience, please.
There's only one part that I think is like really good and made me like accept the thing as a whole, because the rest of it is kind of like, I don't care what Duke and whatever her name are doing running around, but that fight between
CoverGirl or Scarlet.
the fight between Snake Eyes and
Storm Shadow.
Storm Shadow was just incredible. It was so great. It was like Animatrix.
I do a momentary comic book pimp. They have just bound a lot of the Larry Hama G.I. Joes into a hardbound version out there. Well worth checking out. He's the guy who wrote the original G.I. Joe series for Marvel, which is actually pretty damn fucking
Larry
good.
Hama is G.I. Joe.
As far as I'm concerned, yeah.
So what are the other big, what are the other stuff that we can at least most of us can agree that, or some of us, that are the great animated stuff?
Look, if nobody's watching Avatar: The Last Airbender, you're doing
So good.
Yeah, you're doing yourself a disservice. Because to me, it takes everything I love from the old Kung Fu TV show from the 70s and
Autoerotic asphyxiation.
Autoerotic asphyxiation. Da-na-na-na-na-na.
minus that, which wow, did I open
come on,
myself
this
up
would be
for.
the first Leon in like 4 that Leon did not talk about his dad.
Man,
okay,
do you know who is the happiest people for about Governor Mark Sanford right now? Fucking David Carradine's family. They're like, I went for a hike in the mountains. I went to Argentina. I went to Argentina to have sex with a whore.
Well, no, come on now. No, David Carradine was fighting evil. In
That's
mankind.
true. He was fighting evil.
Yeah,
Anyway,
evils of
at sound-
self-abuse.
At 72 years old.
I would like to say,
It's the martial arts thing. You wouldn't understand.
Two big animation moments for me were, and I'm sure Leon will pipe in on this one, are the Filmation Batman series, which was like one of the first like pretty well done superhero cartoons to ever come out. And second, big animation moment for me, my parents in 1979 taking me to see the original Ralph Bakshi version of Lord of the Rings.
Oh, yeah.
Which I
Yeah.
still love to this day. First time I ever saw rotoscoping, and it blew me away, because it was the first time I was like, oh my god, you can make a cartoon and like people can get cut with swords and bleed and die.
I'm
Oh
still-
my god.
I have these two things to say about those two things you just mentioned. One, on the Batman, the Filmation animated. If not for that, you wouldn't have the ambiguously gay duo, because it's totally based solely on that cartoon. And as for Ralph Bakshi's Lord of the Rings, I prefer it to the Peter Jackson ones. And as much as and let me tell you, and I will say this to my dying day, is that within the hour and a half that he had, he covered everything Peter Jackson did in the 6 hours of those first two
but
movies.
you're missing the point.
No, but the thing, when I watch it, because I watched it afterwards, thinking like, oh, this will be a joke, and I was like, wow, he covered it, and I still got the same emotional value out of it.
Yeah,
did a
I do.
really-
Was there a
he
lot
did
of
a really
singing
amazing
and Tom
job.
Bombadil in this
No,
one?
none of that.
No.
Okay.
He
No,
made
And
it
it does have John Hurt as the voice of Aragorn.
I
which is
genuinely
fucking smoking.
really like a lot, the Ralph Bakshi Lord of the Rings. But Jackson's is sublime.
Yeah.
It's beautiful.
Okay,
It's
what's-
a
I gotta side
major
with
work
Cyrus
of
on
art.
this one.
Overblown and bloated.
I think this is a major debate waiting to happen that we could probably have some other day. Ralph Bakshi,
Good
is
point.
anybody else a fan?
I love
yeah,
Wizards.
Hobbit, right?
I'm a
Wizards.
The Hobbit,
Fritz
also,
the Cat.
Fritz the Cat,
Wait,
Wizards.
Ralph, the
Fire
Hobbit.
Knights.
I thought that was
No, he
Rankin
didn't do
Bass.
that. He didn't do the Hobbit.
American Pie.
American Pie,
Pop.
Coonskin. Good luck finding
Wizards is my favorite
Fighter.
from
Yeah, Wizards is great.
Did nobody hear about when Ralph Bakshi came to Austin like a few months ago?
Oh, he
Tell
had
us
the
the story,
freak out.
Uncle Leon.
He had
missed it.
a major meltdown.
Oh, that's right.
He showed. He was showing Wizards.
He was yelling at everybody.
Like
God damn it! I didn't do heavy metal. Stop asking
No,
about
no, no.
it.
His first movie, Wizards, was like the main thing, and he was also going to show Coonskin, which just from that title alone,
one of Mark Hamill's first roles as a voice actor is actually in Wizards, predating Star Wars.
Oh wow! Now, Coonskin, it stars Barry White and Philip Michael Thomas, and it's all.
I guess it's
about
not
a
about
bunch
Davy
of
Crockett.
black hustlers and a street fight. And the thing was, back in the '80s, it got retitled Street Fight because Coonskin is like
Really offensive?
Yeah, right. Really,
Just
offensively.
like the movie is.
Yeah. But it got so he comes here to Austin to show at the Alamo Draft House and shows Wizards, and then the guy who was introducing him, who's a huge fan. Just like setting him up for like, okay, now we're going to show Coonskin, and Ralph's going to do a little talk, and like, there's a little bit of controversy about the title, and Ralph was like, "Why do I have to apologize for the title? What's that about?"
Oh boy.
And he's like, "Oh no, I didn't mean anything about it. It's just that like he threw a major fit, cussed the guy out, and left."
Oh no.
That's like Billy Bob throwing the fit about being called an
it was sort of like
Exactly.
that. But
One
it was
man would have
like-
made it here on its own good
Everybody
graces.
there is in the draft house waiting for the Q&A, for him to finish the Q&A and watch the movie. And they like don't know if he just stormed out for a moment, was going to cool off and come back. He had hopped in a cab and took off.
What a major douchebag.
Yeah. He actually said, "Is that something you'd ask Don Bluth?"
Nice one, Jason. Nice. You earned your paycheck.
And then he was quiet
So
and
to
surly for the rest of the night. And
Wow. Okay, so what else we got? What else is there? What are the other big
I'd
ones?
like to say that the greatest animated film of all time is The Iron Giant.
It is one of the
So
tops.
wonderful.
I will disagree
As to the
completely with
animation
you,
goes-
although I do love that movie incredibly.
Okay, so what
The
would it be if not that?
Incredibles.
The Incredibles is my
Pinocchio?
favorite.
Well, okay,
Monsters,
I wasn't
Inc.?
counting 3D animation.
I love those
It's
for the story.
animation.
As far as technique, and I have said this before, as far as technique, it will never be done again. It's too fucking expensive. But what they did is fucking amazing from a visual and technical standpoint. Pinocchio.
I
Period.
completely
End
agree.
of sentence.
That if you read his review, guys, if you go back into the League Lounge and look in the movie reviews, there's a review from Bo from the Pinocchio Blu-ray that came out recently. That is one of the best things you've ever written, and you've written some really great reviews that really sells you on why
Yeah, it's
as
a damn good
important and good as good a film as it is. And I do highly recommend checking that out. Which is all the more reason why we don't have to keep talking about it here.
Indeed. But we will bring up some Disney stuff later.
Well, sure. Well, I mean, we're running out of later, so
Yeah,
let's
that's
go ahead
true.
and talk about that now.
Disney.
well, if we were going to talk about, I can't remember the artist's name who did Sleeping Beauty. They had an article on
It
him.
wasn't Wolfgang Reitman, was it?
Yeah, it's some Slavic name with more consonants than vowels. But the work that he did was incredible, and the great thing about getting the Platinum Edition is they've got a lot of documentary on why he was so revolutionary, and he kind of came in, and he was kind of the first guy that really helmed something without the going really far astray from what Disney had done in the first. They were using
Not naturalistic.
unnaturalistic stuff based on medieval tapestries, except they were moving. And the movie is beautiful. The animation is absolutely incredible. And because it wasn't maybe as cutesy as Bambi or Pinocchio,
It was scary.
or as lovable, and had one of the most scariest scenes in Disney history, which was Maleficent, the evil fairy, becoming a big dragon, and the first cuss word ever uttered in a Disney movie. Yeah, hell. It was the not a big deal now, but I remember when I saw that as a kid, I was like, oh my god.
Well,
I thought it was when he
Cuss in
called her a
Disney
cunt.
movie.
I watched Sleeping Beauty.
That's the Japanese anime version. The subtitles: "Eat my dick, you fucking tentacled cunt."
Hey, no more anime. That was
Maleficent.
last
That's the one where
episode.
Maleficent turns into a great big hulking mass of tentacle penises
Yeah.
and rapes Briar Rose to
I
death.
love
The
that.
problem
part.
with Sleeping Beauty is that, man, it is gorgeous and it's so stylized, and you just love that about it. It's so different than the other Disney movies. But as a movie itself, it has interesting points, but it drags.
Well,
so
and it's also-
terribly
it's-
up until you get to that last
Yeah,
climax.
and it's also it's based on a fairy tale that really lasted like a page and a half. So
Yeah.
they were kind of milking it, and they were more obsessed about the look than the story. But I mean, it's an hour and
as
15.
did the last 15 James
Let-
Bond
Exactly,
films.
it's an hour and 15 minutes. Well worth.
Well,
the
let me
watch.
throw this one out there that a lot of our listeners probably don't know about, except for the exceptionally savvy ones. Watership Down.
Oh, excellent film.
Yeah, that one. It is.
Read the book.
Fucked.
Richard Adams.
You have the DVD?
and yes.
Wow.
Yeah.
Go
it-
get the DVD. Another great animated movie that had John Hurt in it.
That's right. Yeah. It's and I know it sounds incredibly lame, but it's a bunch of rabbits searching for a new Warren, is it not? Yeah.
It
And
is.
it's,
And they encounter this like kind of police state
Yeah.
of Gestapo rabbits.
This
in
is not a kid's film.
Yeah.
It's
Is this
a
written by
fine,
George Orwell?
It's a fine tradition of animals in 1984-ish type or government fascism type tales. I mean, it's not uncommon. It's there's a more recently WE3 in comics, which from what I've heard is actually being developed into an animated
Yeah.
film right now as well.
Oh, and there's another Richard Adams book, just as great of an animated film as far as I'm concerned, Plague Dogs, and not
Excellent
as
as
many
well.
people know about it.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's awesome. Well
It's
worth looking at.
yeah, both of them incredibly depressing films. So be prepared for a major, not like a Disney tearjerker. Oh no, one of Bambi's mom died. I mean, like a, oh my god, it's the cartoon apocalypse type of thing. It's if for you anime guys, think Grave of the Fireflies.
The funny thing is, it's
Hazel
like
Raw
this-
lives.
from the
That's all I have to
70s and probably the 80s. There's so many like little disturbing cartoons like that that gave you that feeling. Like for me, it was The Point when I was a little
Oh,
kid.
I
Yeah.
love the point.
Yeah,
we watched that one a
and it's
lot.
kind of haunting, but you never get that anymore. And one of the reasons I vehemently defend Happy Feet was because it had that moment
Yeah.
when he was they took him and put him in the zoo or the aquarium with the other penguins, and he kind of lost his mind there.
To be fair, you only had to defend it against Carlisle, but still,
Am I
Yeah.
am I the only
True.
one in the room who's ever seen The Mouse and His Child?
never heard
Yes,
of it.
you are. I've never
Yeah,
heard of
it's
that.
I have that
it's
book
this
on my
great
bookshelf.
like almost Velveteeny Rabbit, like, but you just reminded me of it and just saying like it was one of those in the 80s they still had sad endings, and it was one of those like kids cut the hero kind of comes out ahead, but still there's sacrifice.
Allison, you
Bo
were trying
drives around playing it in the back of his ice cream truck.
Allison, you were trying to say something.
No, I was just gonna say that the first time I saw The Point, I was high with my best friend.
Allison is high all the time.
Man,
Because
this is just your drug history episode.
Watch The
Cartoons
Point.
and
Come
shit.
on.
Yeah.
Yeah,
no, I mean,
it's true. It's a total trippy.
Yeah, if you're not on
Picnic
drugs,
trip
it makes you
movie.
feel like you're
Remember
on
when,
drugs.
remember when kids had the
Thank
dignity
you.
to
I
watch
think I
a
was
good animated
4
film
when
like
I
Pink
saw it.
Floyd The Wall when they got stoned?
oh, the first time I saw Roger Rabbit, we went to like the local mall. We're like, dude, let's drop a bunch of acid and go see this. But we were like late, so we're like, oh shit, we dropped it right before it started. So LSD, for those of you who should never take it out there because you haven't, it takes about an hour or so to kick in. So it's about halfway through the film that start tripping balls and having, as they say, and we're just having a great time. Like, oh my god, this is the best experience of my life. And then the movie ended, and we're watching the credits. Like, God, that was so good. And the lights went up, and we went, "Oh, there's people everywhere!" And that was when we discovered that malls have huge labyrinths of hallways that go around like you just have to go to the first door you see that's not marked and open it, and there's like just hallways that go on forever. And I was in that hallway for like 6 hours.
And then the sun started singing at you, and all the birds.
God, this sounds like Cube.
La 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 la.
At
No,
some
no.
point, one of Cyrus's friends grabbed a young woman and said, "Look, this little girl has survived in here for the whole day. Why don't you put her in charge, man?"
We've got to make it to the Orange Julius.
But then the walls melted and started to bleed, and
Just wait here long enough, it'll be outside.
And he woke up in Spencer's with a lava lamp shoved up his ass.
That's what happened to Edie. That's why she's not on Spill anymore, because she couldn't make it past the Great Chocolate Chip Cookie Company.
That was random.
Are you sure you're not on acid right now?
I might be. I don't know.
Where the hell did you come up with Edie?
I was trying to tie it back into Spill, and it didn't.
Leog does not advocate the use of drugs.
No, of course we would never do that.
Okay.
I was a young and foolish child.
Well,
Hold on, I got to drink my whiskey.
Okay. Well, a couple of classics: the old Pink Panther and the old Popeye cartoons.
Ooh.
wait,
Yeah.
Danger Mouse,
Danger
and
Mouse.
Count Duckula.
Count Duckula.
Count Duckula,
Yes,
fuck
indeed.
yes.
I
Fine
love
examples of animation, of kids animation from across the pond that adults could get really stoned and watch.
And probably why I'm such an Anglophile today.
Did you guys watch the stuff on? Was it Comedy Central that was starting to crank out The Critic and
that
Duckman?
was
Man,
Fox.
Critics started on Fox.
Started on Fox.
And
Oh,
then
was it
they,
Fox?
I think Comedy Central did.
Because
They
okay,
ended up
look,
picking
some-
it up.
some
with
episodes
the critic,
that they never
the
aired.
critic started on Fox, and they had a deal where it was like, okay, look, we aren't going to charge you the full rate because Fox was like, well, we don't know. It's like, okay, tell you what, we only take half the money that you normally pay for an animated show, but if we do well, then you give us our full salary. And Fox was like, okay, that's fair. And then the show did well, and it was like it was time for Fox to pony up, and they went like,
yeah, you're not doing as
Nah.
well as we thought.
so
I
they canceled
loved
the
the
show.
Critic. I thought it was
Fox?
funny as
It
hell.
was
Did that
really
for
good.
show?
And,
Yeah,
No,
I
no.
know.
it
Yeah,
really
I know,
started
I know.
ushering in
Fox
a lot
is like-
more adult humor that I think, what's it called? Family Guy pigeoned off.
Well, the
But
problem
you
is
do
that
bring up
piggyback
like
off
the Comedy Central, like they picked up Duckman, and they were definitely showing Dr. Katz,
Yeah.
which I was a big fan of.
Fox, when Fox started off as a network, they were doing two things. They were trying to do smart shows, and they were trying to do really dumb shows.
Yeah, they were like the show. They were the channel that was like, hey, you can't get on a major network.
Yeah.
Come to us.
Yeah,
We'll try
we'll
anything.
try
yeah, they were
because we
the
want to get on the
we'll
And they
try
got a lot of
anything.
really smart shows to start with, like the X-Files was an early Fox show, and Star Trek Next Generation. They did a lot of really dumb shows, like Married with Children.
No,
where they
no.
were-
Actually, dude, the first few seasons of Married with Children, it was a very smart show.
You think,
Yeah,
I
but
don't
it,
think was
it
smart,
opened
but
the
it was
door.
good.
It opened the door
I
for a
swear to
lot of
God.
really bad shit.
I mean, I was there watching it when it first started, and as far and Bo's right. It started out as a smart show. It was like this was a show that was showing you the anti-Cosby family. It had the balls to go like, hey, we're going to show a white trash family and make them funny and all the raunchy humor you won't get anywhere else. But the first 2 or 3 seasons, it really had like a smart edge to it.
All right,
it
to
was
be
just like,
fair, it's-
Yeah.
but the more it became popular, the more it descended into the raunchy and not so smart.
To be fair, it's been
Remember when they
15
made it
years
into a
since I've watched it.
cartoon?
Yeah, was that ever
Married with
animated?
Children, the cartoon.
Was there a cartoon?
No,
I'm
I'm trying to
trying
say
to
let's
get
get
back
back
to
to animation. Which, okay, The Critic was one of those shows, which is where it started from, where they had a really smart show that was trying to sell to smart,
Well, it's
so
one of these
smart
things where,
people
like,
with lots of
if you go like,
references.
dude,
and-
I got a show on my show. It got picked up, and you go like, oh, that's awesome. Where's it gonna be on Fox? Oh, I'm
Sorry.
Good luck with that.
Yeah.
Hey, I got a friend for you to meet. His name's Joss Whedon. Joss,
Oh,
go ahead and stand up.
Joss Whedon is like one in a long list of Fox casualties.
Joss is an abused husband of Fox.
Yeah.
He's the guy. Fox keeps beating the shit out of him, and he keeps coming back, going, "No, he loves me. He just, sometimes he just gets upset." And
Yeah,
you're just like,
pretty
"No,
much, yeah.
Josh, you need help. You need to go somewhere else." Sorry.
You didn't just say Josh, did
Josh.
you?
No.
Okay.
You-
I
you
really,
did say
I heard
Josh.
Well, that's because I've
I
had
was
like
gonna
the
punch you.
Yeah, I think
equivalent
it's
of
a
5
drunk
with
slur.
drinks
Yeah,
of whiskey. So
He's so far away.
But yeah, I mean, what happened with the critic
I'll
was
hold
very
you.
similar to what happened with Futurama. Because Futurama, it didn't
It
get
sucked?
canceled because people
did
weren't
not suck.
watching.
Jason,
no,
you are not allowed to talk.
Futurama got
Shut the
better
fuck
and
up,
better.
Jason.
Yes, it
but,
did.
But unfortunately, Matt Groening had a much bigger piece of Futurama than he did
Yeah,
of The
exactly.
Simpsons. And so Fox is like, oh, we're not making as much money off this as we are The Simpsons. So we're going to cancel it.
And
You know,
then
bye-bye.
Comedy Central's ordered up a whole new season. So
Yeah.
Which is
what do you-
awesome.
What do you
20
guys
a
think
full
of
season, too.
the new avenue for cartoons to be released in Adult Swim? With,
Love.
with all the stuff they're
I
cranking
love
out.
the
Super
Adult
Jail.
Swim. I love the Adult Swim back when they showed cartoons.
Well, I guess they're doing
now it's all
more.
the
Yeah.
live action shitty stuff.
I guess.
I mean, ever
but-
since they got Aqua Teen Hunger Force, which is one of these cartoons where it's very non sequitur yet really funny. So the execs are all like, "Wow, this is funny, I guess, and people love it, but we don't know why. So let's just put on a bunch of shows that we don't understand."
Well, I think they're still being very experimental with it, but
Seriously,
I
dude,
mean,
Tim and
there's-
Eric,
it,
and Tim and Eric is like the best of those live action shows they have, and they all suck.
And even that's like,
Yeah.
you know, every once in a while, like every second, every other episode will have
I
one
love
moment
I love Garth
that
Marenghi.
goes like,
Yeah.
okay, that was funny.
Yeah, exactly.
And the rest of it's just like, wow, what in the fuck are you guys doing?
Home movies.
no, home movies
hilarious.
are awesome. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
The early
Extension
days
of Dr. Katz.
of
Yeah, totally.
Adult Swim, like Mission Hill and
Yes.
Home Movies
Home
and
Movies
Aqua
is
Teen.
creepy and uncomfortable
And hilarious.
awkward.
for all those
And
reasons.
everyone's shaking, and you go over to your friend's house to watch home movies, and they first let you look through a book of Faces of Death, and it scars you from ever wanting to watch home movies again.
If
Wow.
you're Grant.
I'm totally
That's
confused
what
now.
that's how I feel about home movies.
See, I haven't actually seen that one. I don't know about that one, but I'll tell you, I loved Harvey Birdman. I was a gigantic.
oh, yeah. See,
I never
fan of
could get
that.
into Harvey Birdman.
Oh, I thought
really,
it was
even
so
like
funny.
that Apache Chief episode.
Oh,
Yeah.
I think it
But
helps to
do it
have
for me.
like that growing up, watching the Super Friends,
Yeah.
watching those old bad Hanna-Barbera.
Every
and-
single
and seeing
character
them
that
turned
appears
a
on
tear.
there, I grew up when they
Yeah.
were supposed to be taken seriously.
Exactly.
Watching those, you know,
Yeah.
and going back on it, going, man, I can't believe the crap I used to watch, and going, wow, the guys who are making Harvey Birdman, they're who I am. They're that same guy going, you know what? Yeah, it sucked, but we still love it in a weird, sort of
Yeah.
embarrassed way, anyway.
Really, my favorite cartoon that's on right now, and I'm not counting Venture Brothers since it's not technically on right now. Spectacular Spider-Man.
Yes,
Oh, that is the best.
Thank you for bringing that up.
Yeah.
Okay, and I'm just going to start this off by saying this. I spent the last 2 days doing nothing but watching new superhero animation.
And let me just say, like, somebody came on like, they asked a question, like, what do you think of the season finale? What do you think of the season finale of Spectacular Spider-Man, the second season? And I haven't seen it. I mean, I watched some of them, but I'm waiting for them to, like, show them on TV.
They're actually kind of hard to find even online, the last 2 episodes
Yeah.
or so for some reason. I don't
So
know why.
they say it ends in a cliffhanger. I don't know.
Yeah.
And,
I
yeah.
watched-
I've only watched half
well,
of them.
I watched all the. I spent
but
2 days.
I thoroughly enjoyed it.
I watched 2 days watching all this other stuff. I mean, Wonder Woman, the Ultimate Avengers, all this stuff that's come out recently. And I was like, okay, it's all okay. But then I watched, all right, fine. I haven't watched Spectacular Spider-Man Season 2 after I loved the first one so much. So I just watched them all straight through, except for the last 2 episodes, which I couldn't find.
Okay.
And went, wow.
Yeah.
You could take all those other movies, that 12 or so hours of animation I watched, put them together in one thing, all the best stuff about it, and it wouldn't be as good as a single
Yeah.
episode of Spectacular Spider-Man Season 2,
It-
which is amazing.
It's spectacular, not amazing.
It's spectacular. Yeah. Sorry, no, that's different. No, it's Peter Parker.
It
the
is
Spectacular.
it is really incredible the way that, you know, one of the things that we have talked about in the past is how they take stuff from Ultimate Spider-Man and Amazing
Amazing.
Spider-Man and Peter Parker the Spectacular Spider-Man, every incarnation of Spider-Man that's ever
And the-
been,
and the movies.
and amalgamate it in such a great fashion. And I watched one episode with Cyrus the other night that takes a storyline with the Master Planner that was from the original Ditko run. If this be my destiny,
Yeah.
and has
it's awesome.
this
Yeah.
incredible scene where he's like pinned beneath this machinery and throws them off.
Yeah,
and
I did
it's one
see
of the
that.
most classic,
It
like,
is.
Ditko illustrated
The
sequences.
moment
ever.
they show him under
Yeah.
the machinery, it is exactly
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
panel.
It-
and I
yeah.
went, oh my
my
God!
God!
They're
Yeah,
doing it.
yeah.
I got the
No.
chills and everything.
That's like maybe more than anything else, it defines Spider-Man.
Yeah.
That moment.
Yeah.
Right there.
My
It
favorite
is a total
episode
boner moment.
is the finale of season 1 where he's fighting the symbiote.
Yeah.
And in his subconscious, Uncle Ben is helping him through it, you know, and it's really damn good.
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right. And the thing that makes the show so strong is not only a love of the original comics, where it's not some sort of casual passing fancy of the comics. It's let's make very clear how much this is a part of our love for this, why we're even
Yeah.
doing this in episodes like you're talking about and many others. And even more so in the second season, taking some gutsy chances for an animated show,
Yeah.
doing like
They
very
really do.
non-linear episodes.
And the collateral damage on this, they destroy so much shit
Yeah.
in his fights. It's
Yeah.
amazing.
Well, it's so
but-
much fun to watch his fights. They did such a great job of
Oh, yeah.
of the way that they've just timed it, and they're just as far as just I hate to say for animation, it's weird to say, but fight choreography
Yeah.
is exciting as hell to watch on this
It
show.
really is. And
Which is exactly how those original Ditko and Romita runs were. I
Yeah.
mean, the fight scenes were just amazing. I mean, they take up like 5 fucking pages doing nothing but showing him slugging it out with somebody, and
Yeah.
it was just like, oh wow.
And
One-
not to
one of my
mention, it's
favorite-
actually funny. Peter
Yeah.
Parker is funny in this one, which for the previous cartoons, I never thought he was
Yeah,
funny.
one
That
of my
was the biggest
favorite
failure.
moments, actually, and I literally started clapping when I saw it, is you actually feel the very human moments when he first meets Mary Jane, and when she comes to the door and says, "Face a tiger, you just hit the jackpot," and he's just kind of stunned because the whole time, for the whole first season, they had been building her up because Aunt May was saying, "Oh, you need to meet Anna Watson's niece. She's got a great personality." And the whole time he was dodging her, going, "Oh man, great personality."
Just like
and
the-
then when he meets her and he's totally smitten, you're just like, hell yeah,
And
that's how it's supposed to be.
Original, that's how people who read the original comic book as it came out must have felt. I mean, because MJ didn't show up until issue 41, and she had been alluded to for 4 years, dude.
That's true.
You know?
He
Well,
is right about that.
This book did such a good job. It is updated and it is modern day. And yet it captures everything that was actually happening in these original books. It manages to mutate it a little bit to make it fit now, but it's still what's going on. Towards the end of it, they bring in freaking Molten Man. Remember Molten Man?
Yeah.
And it fits exactly his story, what was happening then, too. It's different, and yet it totally gets
It doesn't
why
betray anything.
It doesn't betray anything. Now, one of the things that I was most impressed with this second season is there's an opera episode where Tombstone, Dr. Octopus, who else? Silvermane, the first appearance
Hammerhead.
of Silvermane, Hammerhead, and who's the last one?
that was
missing?
it, wasn't it?
No, there's one more fighting. I'm blanking. But they're all having this massive fight outside in an opera house. And the entire episode is themed by opera. It's like a whole aria.
It was
And there's a
gorgeous,
point
yeah.
that you go about halfway through, you go, wow, they've been playing like full blast this aria the entire
They
time.
keep juxtaposing it.
And it doesn't stop through the whole episode. And you're like, this is an incredibly beautiful work of animation here. It's the type of thing that would be a cheap stunt in a movie when they do it for like 2 minutes. But as far as a whole episode set to opera like that of Spider-Man, wow, that was good.
It's the best comic book inspired thing to come out since Batman the Animated Series.
Yeah.
And it is on a par with it, which I thought was impossible. Even though I loved New Superman Adventures, I loved Justice League, I loved Justice League Unlimited very, very, very much.
Yeah.
But this is the first thing that really hits that. Wow, all the power of why I read this comic book, all the power of why I love this character is here.
And make no mistake,
it's
they
so beautifully done.
Yeah, they are very different animals. Don't go into Spectacular Spider-Man expecting Batman the Animated
Not a
Series.
lot of Art Deco and Spectacular Spider-Man.
Yeah.
Not a lot of shadows. Not a lot of dark gritty.
But
think-
yet it's
yeah.
very stylish in its own sense. It has its very own, very unique style.
And it is
it's like you
Spider-Man.
said, he's funny. He's wisecracking. He's a troubled teen. He's fucking Spider-Man.
and
it's
to
awesome.
put it short, why aren't you watching it?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, the first season comes out here pretty
Very
quick,
shortly,
so
yeah.
you should really pick it up.
Yeah.
They've released. I did a review for the first one for the first like 3 episodes because they've been totally cheaping
They've been Warner
out.
Brothers
Yeah.
about it.
Yeah, they've been
I can't
releasing
believe
3
though,
episodes at a time.
that they actually did say, you know what, we're going to go ahead and put out the whole first season. I went, really?
Yeah.
That was totally unexpected for a superhero animated show. But look, you know what? Oh, I'm sorry.
I know we're running out of time, but I promised Kayla that I would bring it up. And, in the dark age, back when Disney had kind of given up the ghost before they came back in the 90s, there's a guy who came out who used to work for Disney called Don Bluth. And he did 2 really great, incredible movies. They did
Space
The Secret
Ace.
Shut up.
No,
Jason for the win.
Dragon's Lair.
Jason
Yeah.
for the Fail, Secret Nim, and Land Before Time. And I'm not the biggest Land Before Time. I wish Kayla was here because I'm sure she is.
And Rockadoodle.
I
But-
loved Land Before Time.
Right on.
Rockadoodle.
You can talk about. I will say,
I have nothing
Secret
else
of
to say
Nim
about it.
is like they took this classic children's book and brought it to life, and the animation is beautiful. It's one of the last like two-dimensional animations that is not done on a computer that you're able to see. And you should, by all means, go out and see it.
I remember it was
Exactly,
creepy, but
it
that
was.
was part of why it was so
But so is
great.
Pinocchio and Sleeping Beauty.
I remember
and-
seeing it when
and
I was like, I guess
Snow
a
White.
teenager when it came out, and going, "Wait, this isn't Disney," and yet I
And yet-
kind of like it better than Disney. And then it was like, well, what happened to the guys who did that Secret of NIMH movie?
Yeah.
Did he also do American Tail? Was that-
Yes, he did.
Yeah. Well,
Oh,
and Fievel
okay.
Goes West.
Five Goes
Fievel,
West,
whatever.
American Tail.
Okay, I loved American Tail. Five Go West, not so much.
The Blue Studios, they produced a really great. They, like I said, they were a stopgap before Disney kind of pulled its head out of the ass and was like, "Oh yeah, we do animation too."
Yeah.
and got back onto the
Aladdin
got back
and
onto the
Lion King and
well,
such
and
also.
Beauty and the Beast, you know,
Yeah.
which is, as far as I'm concerned, is the apex of their '90s.
Thank you very
output.
much.
I'm actually going to say Aladdin.
Yeah,
is the
I got to
best
go to
of the
Aladdin.
later
Matter of
days.
fact, Aladdin. I
but-
watched
but
it again
you're wrong.
last weekend, and I was like, wow, I watched Aladdin last weekend, and it has not aged at all.
I know, and it's not. All right, it helps that it's a short film, and it is. It is a very
they're
short
all
film,
short films. They're all
but
an hour and a
it's
half.
so fast moving. It never stops.
It really is just perfectly paced and timed. It's Robin Williams' last great comedy performance.
Yeah, very true.
And the songs are really good and catchy in it, and everything about it works.
I've seen very few movies more than twice in the theaters, and Aladdin is one of the ones that I've actually seen 3 times in the theaters.
Yeah, same here.
All those Disney movies, I saw Aladdin, Beauty and the Beast, Lion King, all of them like 3 or 4 times in the theater. And I gotta say, Lion King is the only one of those that actually would make me cry every time when he'd have to drop his dad.
It's funny because when I watched The Lion King the first time, I was so like, wow, this is a total ripoff of Kimba the White Lion. I could not get past
That's the
it.
same thing I did.
Hamlet.
For
What?
the 3 of you who know that,
It's
though,
Hamlet too. Thank you.
Bravo!
yes.
I mean, all those stories are ripoffs of something. So.
Thank you, smart girl, for bringing us all down. It's Kimba the White Lion. Damn it.
Everything's pretty much based on the Bible or Shakespeare.
That's true. Actually, is that really it? I've heard things where
However-
in the book of Job, where his son was bitten by a radioactive spider.
It's true.
we only briefly touched on it, but it just feels unright for us to not discuss Pixar movies at all.
Well, we did.
I just wanted to bring up the
can't do it all,
there's
man.
not a lot of like stuff in the Bible about a son bringing redemption. But anyway,
I was going to say that
we should bring up Pixar.
a show I loved because if I relate to it so much. If you want to see Kristen's high school experience in animated
I
form, it's
know what
fucking
this is.
Daria.
Oh, no,
Daria, yeah, hell yeah.
Daria, because in high school I was a mix of Daria and Jane, and my sister was fucking Quinn, and we loved sitting down and watching that show because we're like, that's exactly what we would say.
Yeah, Mary, who can't be here, unfortunately, would always constantly. She references Daria all the time. I'm like, I didn't have a TV
Love
at
it.
that time in my
And,
life, so I didn't watch it.
Hottest cartoon character, Trent Lane.
Is that
That-
the boyfriend on there?
That's funny
it's
because
Jane Lane's brother.
That's funny because I used to like I so wanted to get into Daria, and every time I would watch it, she was just like so too cool for school. She got on my nerves. I'm like,
And-
damn it, I want to like this
You're the
show.
same guy who doesn't like Juno. 'cause
You're
you're
the
like,
same. You're the same
no,
guy
I was
who
gonna
just
say-
said too cool for school.
I was just gonna
Yeah.
say she was way too Juno for
See,
me.
what this is that I wasn't as nerdy as you were in school, and so the
Oh,
cool
I
kids
doubt
actually,
that
the
seriously,
cool kids
my
actually,
friend.
actually, the cool kids kind of liked me. They weren't friends with me, but they liked me. I didn't get.
But
beat
Daria
up by
wasn't
them,
cool. I mean,
so-
that was the whole
cool.
point of
Yeah.
the
Everyone was
thing.
so
But
mean
she
to her
was
that she
cool.
tuned out. Like
Yeah.
me,
No,
she was like, "Fuck you
Daria
guys, I'm
was
done
cool
with
in
you."
college.
Yeah.
You're watching it when she's in high school.
That's true. That's true.
while Kristen may be our Daria,
Our
we
resident
also
Daria.
have our resident Beavis and Butthead and Jason and Bo.
Indeed.
Shut,
Who
Grant.
knew?
I thought for sure it was gonna be Jason and you.
I will fulfill that prophecy and set your ass on fire.
Come on,
if
I
you
just want
insist.
I can't help but I just want to see Jason go. Are you threatening me? I will fight you.
I am the great Cornholio. I need tippy for my bunghole.
What the hell?
I really okay. Leon and I can tell you, we really like Mike Judge. Not only is he a very talented person. He's just a nice, sweet guy.
Yeah, really sweet guy.
He lives here in Austin, and I've met him on a number of occasions.
Had him over to my house for dinner.
He's just a sweet person, and he couldn't be more humble.
He once punched
I
me
mean,
in
really,
the nuts.
he's like what
you
you want
deserve
every
it?
celebrity to be. Like you meet him, and they're like just a regular guy.
Yeah.
And that's him.
Yeah, and I'll always support his stuff because of that, if nothing else. I mean, yeah, it's good. I'm looking forward to his new movie, Extract. By the way, Extract coming out in theaters soon.
Awesome.
Has anyone here seen The
You
Good
get
Family?
paid.
I
heard it was
have
really
not,
good.
but I heard it was
not
good
I
things.
have.
I heard it was good.
Really?
I've
Yeah.
been watching it.
I haven't seen it.
I don't know.
It can be a little precious because it's making fun of like, oh, the silly liberal and limousine liberals that are trying to save the world by not using
Doling out tons
plastic
of
in
money.
in the grocery store. And to some extent, I'm like, well, good. Those people need the shit beaten out of them. But on the other hand, I'm just like, well, I don't really want to dun anybody who's trying to do something. So it's a weird mix. But so was King of the Hill in
I
a
was gonna
lot
say, I
of
feel
ways.
like they covered that on
So-
like 2 or 3 episodes of King of the Hill.
yeah, I mean, he's basically kind of taking some of those granola characters he's used as foils for Hank and doing a whole show based around them. And there's some good stuff. There's some good stuff and there's some bad stuff. Steve Carell's wife is the mother's voice. They've got what's his face?
Amy Poehler? Wait, no,
no,
is
not,
that-
that's Will Arnett's wife. They've got the guy who played Michael Bolton in Office Space.
Oh, David Herman.
David
Herman
yeah.
always does voices
Yeah.
on Mike Judge
doing
stuff.
doing some great. Yeah, he's got a lot of the usual stuff. It's Mike Judge doing the voice of the dad. So they're it's a lot like King of the Hill was when it first started out. There's some good points and bad points.
I met Mike right when he was developing King of the Hill because he was just coming off Beavis and Butthead, and basically Hank Hill was that one old man character who drove the
Mr.
RV.
Anderson?
Mr.
Yeah, he was
Anderson,
Mr. Anderson. He was like, showing me the character sketches he's done. He's like, well, they're paying me $1 million to develop a show for him, and I'm thinking like it's gonna be sort of like the adventures of a young Mr. Anderson. I kind of had these ideas going. They're probably not gonna pick it up, but this is what I'm doing. And I was like, well, I don't know, dude. It might fly, just present it to him. He's like, well, I'm going to get paid either way, but who knows where it's going to go. And like, boom.
And there you have it.
Yeah.
If you've enjoyed the last 10 years of King of the Hill, say thank you, Leon. 'Cause it's all down to
It's
him.
pretty much true. Yeah. If Leon
I'm
hadn't
feeling
been,
really conflicted about this, man.
if Leon hadn't been under that desk licking those judge balls, it never would have happened. So
And I had an ex-boyfriend who had his dad for anthropology at the University of New Mexico, I think. Or
yeah.
Oh yeah, that's where he's from.
Mike
Yeah.
Judge's dad?
yeah, Mike Judge's dad is a professor of anthropology.
That's great. Tell us about your evil
Yeah, was the
ex-boyfriend from New
boyfriend a
Mexico.
really nice guy? Did he have a good experience?
Oh
with
yeah,
him?
he was a great guy.
Wait, is he real or animated? Because
he
that's
from
kind of
Canada?
He
key
should
here.
be animated.
No, we can talk about her ex-boyfriends anytime. That's always
Allison's
entertaining.
boyfriend, her
Yeah.
boyfriend who lives in Canada.
That'll be the next .5. It's all about Allison's ex-boyfriend.
Indexes.
But we're kind of running towards the end of this episode here. There will be clearly another all animation episode because God knows
I think we have
We
to.
can't
We've
cover it all.
barely
We haven't even talked about
touched.
movies, really.
We haven't talked about Hayao Miyazaki. We haven't talked about all
Or
kinds of
Wolverine
stuff.
Don
and the X-Men,
Hertzfeld.
Wolverine and the X-Men.
Yeah.
and all sorts of
Saturdays.
I
stuff.
certainly have
Super
not talked
Jail,
enough about
Flapjack,
the DC universe.
Chowder.
Yeah, the Justice League Unlimited.
The
all
Dead
sorts of
Squirrel
stuff.
Girl animated extravaganza.
Yes.
Damn it.
Well, when is that coming out, Kristen?
Someone gives me some financial backing to finance a
this is where
project
the
like
league-
that.
So that I can make Thailand kids do it?
And could you, the league, be part of that? The league members, could you be the people somewhere out there? There's someone.
Can we chain ourselves to a desk in
And-
Korea with you standing over us with a whip going, work! Work!
Well, not me. I'd be the guy with the whip. But anyway, let's get one more big thing. Who hasn't had a turn yet for a while to bring up something? I know it's not
Fish.
fish. One more big thing that we haven't talked about yet.
Super Jail? Because that's my big fix right now.
Are you serious? That
I
show
never heard of
sucks.
that.
What?
Actually, Jackson Public does some of the writing for that.
Well, it still sucks.
All right.
I'm talking about.
Y'all were mentioning how violent Venture Brothers is. This is like some little 6-year-old kid who's like beaten up and has a red crayon. This is his nightmare. Oh, it's so insane. I love it.
Oh,
Okay.
it's like the French art film, The Red Crayon.
Super Jail
sorry.
is like what was drawn in the margins of notebooks from kids in 8th grade.
And you're even meaner
That's
than
cool.
I am.
I watched
I'm
part
not
of
saying
Super Jail
something.
the other
Okay. Notice how I said that, and you went, "I'm cruel." But Fish went, yeah, that's right. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Okay, fair
I
enough.
watched part of Super Jail about 2 weeks ago, but I had a lot of rum, and I made it through the intro credits. And that was
Wait,
about
what's
it.
Super Jail about?
It's about a jail that's really super.
It's super.
Exactly.
It's
No, it's
super.
like a super.
Thanks for asking.
Yeah. It's like a supermax maximum security jail for really bad people,
Oh,
and they do horrible, horrible things to each other.
so it's
Okay.
like Oz. You're watching Oz?
It's
Animated
like
Oz?
it is like Oz
the
as
animated series.
written, directed, and imagined by an 8th grader, and all in the margins of his notebook while somebody's trying to teach him something
See,
useful.
that sounds kind of clever.
Bo for the
actually,
win.
to me. But I haven't seen it. So I'm sorry. I will check it out on your advice though, because you've checked out lots
there's
of stuff
only-
on mine.
Yeah, it's only like 15 minutes long. It's like one of those really short, like
Great best moments, anything like that, Jace?
just like they
No,
always
the
open
podcast
with-
is over. Shut up. Long live the league.
no. Each episode opens with a prisoner named Jackknife escaping and Jailbot chasing after him. It's just the most ridiculous violence ever. It's just insane. They're all, I think, on Adult Swim's video site, but I guess I'll move on to something else that I know some of you might like. Chowder and Flapjack?
I love Flapjack. Flapjack is like a more adult version of SpongeBob.
Yeah.
And it's just more disturbing. I mean, it's very similar. You first look at it, you might go like, oh, it's a total ripoff. But just keep watching it. And it's like, ooh.
Is it, wait, Bill Murray's brother?
yeah, Brian Doyle
But
Murray.
didn't he die?
I don't think so.
I could've
Brian
sworn
Doyle
he
Murray's
died.
very much
Is
with
he?
us. Yes.
Who am I thinking of? Okay, anyway.
Ed McMahon.
Yeah.
Yes, that's who I was thinking. What?
The Lost Murray brother.
Clark Gable's who you were thinking of, Cyrus. Oh, yeah. Wait, what? No. I was surprised nobody brought up Metalocalypse. I was like,
There
you
wasn't
guys
time.
talk about it
Brutal.
all
Like,
the time.
how many? I can think of at least like 20 things. I didn't. bring
Yeah,
up.
no.
Yeah,
good.
there's so
Yeah,
We didn't
yeah,
talk about
we
Pixar, for
can't
Christ's
get it all
sake.
in.
So let's all throw out the
Heavy
names
metal?
right now of what we'll talk about the next time there's an
Lord.
animation episode.
All at once.
Pixar, Frisky
Brave and the
Dingo.
Bold. Yeah, Frisky Dingo.
Akira,
Thank you.
Ghost in the Shell.
Don Hertzfeld.
Secret Saturday.
The Tick.
Cowboy Bebop?
The Tick.
Tailspin.
Samurai Champloo.
Samurai Jack.
Big O.
I think
Clone Wars.
Dexter's
Aeon
Lab.
Flux.
No clone.
No, the
Clone
original.
Wars.
The original Clone Wars.
Yeah, the
Tartakovsky.
The original Tartakovsky,
okay,
Samurai
okay.
Jack.
Fuck you guys.
Yeah, okay, we can talk about
The
that.
Animatrix.
The Max.
The Boba Fett thing on Star Wars Holiday Special.
Yes, yes.
Jason
was
for the
awesome.
win. Jason for the win.
Jack Mack and Rad Boy.
Droids.
That's all there has ever been. That's it. That's the end of animation.
Aeon Flux.
Aeon
Yeah,
Flux.
we've heard it 3
damn.
times.
Liquid Television, all the
Oh, yeah.
Max and
The
stuff.
point is, there's tons of stuff. You've seen us. We didn't even have a plan for this. We just kind of randomly stumbled into it.
Yeah, guess what? No questions, bitches. Deal with it.
But that marks the end of yet another wonderful experience of the League of Extremely Ordinary Gentle People.
Thank God, I got to work in the morning.
Yes, and let us just say, for the record, screw it. Let's do another 2 hours because Jason has to work in the morning.
Awesome.
Yeah, bye.
Let's say, long live the League!